Late afternoon at Lambeau in Green Bay, a bitterly cold day that will test fans and challenge two teams with playoff ambitions. Jacksonville 7-6, making its first trip to Green Bay, and look at how they're greeted by the weatherman. 12 degrees, 3 below zero chill factor. The winds out of the northwest at 13 miles an hour. Green Bay, with a win today, will clinch a playoff spot. Packers have won 7 of their last 8 to take the lead in the NFC North. And Jacksonville, out of the warm climes of Florida, Dion Grant and company say, hey, we're ready for the cold, bare-armed and all.
The funny part of it is, you look at Jacksonville, they've got more bare arms than do the Green Bay Packers. I think they're trying to talk themselves into thinking that it's warmer than it is. Interesting about the weather, Dick, we've had crystal clear sunshine here all day, which has really made it warmer than what they were expecting. But as the sun has now started to set, the field entirely in shade, I expect that temperature to plummet.
Cloud cover would help as we move into the early evening hours. Jacksonville will get it first, and David Allen, a recent addition to the roster out of Kansas State, and Ryan Longwell, and we're underway in Green Bay, down to the 9. Allen 20, and sees some daylight across the 30-yard line. Tackled by Michael Hawthorne. In his 25th start, second-year quarterback Byron Leftwich. He was 11 years old when Brett Favre entered the NFL. Left tackle Ephraim Salam's job is to keep sackmaster Baja Biamila off Leftwich's back. And if Jacksonville is to win, 1,000-yard rusher Fred Taylor needs a big game today. Taylor with 1,059 yards on the season and improving with each game. Todd Yoder, the tight end, in motion, and the give is to Taylor. Trapped and brought down after a gain of a couple. Let's check Mike Sherman's Packer defense. 340-pound tackle Grady Jackson. He fills the middle. Speedy middlebacker Nick Barnett is Green Bay's #1 tackler, and in the past 6 years, Darren Sharper's 33 interceptions is more than any defensive back in the league. Taylor, the lone running back, on second and long. Flag down, so is Taylor swarmed at the 34. Leading the charge, Aaron Campman and Grady Jackson. Our referee today is Ed Hockley.
Flag on the play.
Tripping. Offense, number 67. A 10-yard penalty. Repeat second down.
Vince Monoué, the left guard from Honolulu. The two guards of Jack Del Rio's team are from the Hawaiian Islands.
Monoué, number 67 there. You see he's working against Grady Jackson. And yeah, they stuck that baby out there and tripped Jackson. Jackson's addition back into the Green Bay lineup. A big plus for the Packers. Remember, he dislocated his kneecap in the opener, missed the next 5 games. His addition to that run defense has been reflected in the one-loss column.
Second down and 19. Working into the wind is Byron Leftwich. He gives it off to Taylor. Big hole up the middle. And it's Taylor rumbling down inside the 30 of Green Bay, and Darren Sharper finally makes the tackle. Oh my, what a run by Taylor on second and 19. And we welcome those of you who have just seen the Texans win in Chicago 24-5. Dick Enberg, Dan Dierdorf, Armand Katayan at Lambeau Field, Green Bay. Chill factor -3 degrees, but Fred Taylor's warmed things up for Jacksonville with a 46-yard run and a first down at the Packer 31. Opening possession of the game. LeBrandon Tofield in the backfield. Leftwich, his first throw, goes for 6. And it is caught by Jimmy Smith for a touchdown.
There's a flag on the play over there, Dick, but I think it's going to be interference against Al Harris of the Packers. A flag was definitely thrown as there was contact between Smith and Harris.
And Jimmy Smith, what a brilliant veteran he is at 35, the oldest Jaguar regular out of Jackson State. Here's the call.
Pass interference, defense number 31. Penalties decline. The play results in a touchdown.
Not the best of events for a cornerback to get called for interference, and at the same time, you give up the touchdown. But you see Al Harris with the right arm pushing and shoving on Jimmy Smith. It does not break the 35-year-old's concentration. He stays with it and hauls in the touchdown.
And his reputation as a long ball receiver continues. That ties him for the league lead, 25-yard catches or more. This is Josh Scobie, and no extra point is going to be a certainty either today. But he does it, and Jacksonville strikes quickly on a long run by Taylor, and a 31-yard touchdown throw on his first pass of the game, leftwich to Smith.
2 minutes and 4 seconds into this football game, and right now this crowd at Lambeau Field can't believe that a team from Florida has taken an early lead like this on their Packers. They have grown accustomed to watching teams from the South come up here and play in cold weather and fall flat on their face.
No one plays tougher in the cold December than the Packers here at Lambeau, and they have proven that year in, year out. And we welcome those of you that have seen the Chiefs pummel the Denver Broncos 45-17. San Diego won earlier, so the Chargers are the AFC West champions.
Well, it started with his run from Fred Taylor. Look at the hole as he gashes the middle of the Green Bay defense. And if that wasn't enough, they come right back with Byron Leftwich getting outstanding pass protection. Jimmy Smith sells the post. He draws an interference from Al Harris, but catches the touchdown pass anyway. And lo and behold, Jack's out 7-0 right away.
Scobie's kick into the wind dies at the 17, and it's Najee Davenport returning across the 30 to the 33-yard line. And here comes an immortal in his own time, Brett Favre. Check Favre and another 3,000-yard season for him. He's got right guard Marco Rivera blocking. He's been to the last 2 Pro Bowls, and Ahman Green is 8 rushing yards away from 1,000 for the season. That would make 5 in a row for Green out of the University of Nebraska. Now Favre and the Packers, who started in arrears against the Lions a week ago here and then rallied to win 16-13 in the second half, find themselves behind today. The handoff goes inside to Green, and Green a pickup of about 5 on first down. Now the defense of Jack Del Rio features giant young run-stuffing tackles Marcus Stroud and John Henderson. Middle linebacker Mike Peterson leads the Jaguars in tackles. And hard-hitting safety Donovan Darius leads with 3 interceptions and 4 fumbles recovered. Favre's first throw complete, and it'll be good for a first down to Ben Steele out to the 45-yard line. Only the second catch all season for Steele out of Mesa State, Colorado.
Well, Dick, here are the things we're going to keep an eye on today. Will the temperature and the wind chill the Jaguars? The wind not nearly as bad as it could be. The temperature's on the way down. Cool runnings. Will the best running game win today? 2 premier guys in Green and Taylor. Well, of course, Taylor's exploded. And the 2 mountains in the middle. Can the Green Bay offensive line handle Marcus Stroud and John Henderson?
Favre being chased from behind, fumbles the ball. It's loose, and who's got it? The Jaguars had the ball twice and let it kick away, and it comes out to Green Bay. The Packers, Javon Walker came out of the pile with the ball. That was Bobby McRae chasing Favre and stripping the ball.
Well, Bobby McRae is a rookie that's been forced into the situation. You see him coming from the backside, and Brett Favre has no idea that he's being chased down by the extremely speedy McRae. He's an undersized defensive end, and he is going to run down a quarterback anytime, and you can see several Jaguars had a shot at it before Donald Driver comes out of there with the football.
Yeah, Favors had a shot.
Yeah.
Adele had the ball for a moment. And it becomes Green Bay's ball after the loss. Second down now and 18.
A very fortunate bounce for Green Bay.
Favre dumps it off on the screen to Green, and he's tripped up from behind by Big John Henderson, the 6'7", third-year tackle out of Tennessee. And even Brett Favre said earlier this year when they met him in the preseason, they said, I thought Henderson was big, but not until I had to shake hands with him on the coin toss did I realize, no wonder I can't see my receivers downfield.
Said, I'm going out there to shake hands. He was a captain, I was a captain, and he's already out there. And I looked how big he was. I thought it was the crown of the field. And then the closer I got, the more I realized, no, he's just that big.
Barking him out as Favre, and then he gives it off inside to Green, the 45, the 47, but that'll be short of the first down and bring out the punting team and Brian Barker. That run, though, puts Green over 1,000 yards, the 5th straight season, tying him with immortal Jim Taylor. Taylor in the 60s, 5 straight years rushed for 1,000 yards, and Green has equaled Taylor, the Hall of Famer's mark. Barker had a big kick last week of 64 yards. David Allen at the other end, a wobbler at the 16. And Allen fumbles the ball at the 30, a scramble. No signal yet. Packers say they have it.
Michael Hawthorne, number 27 of the Packers, was one of the guys closest to the ball. I know he was close to it, and yeah, everybody knows that ball's changing hands even as we speak.
Packers ball at the 30-yard line. Recovered by Michael Hawthorne.
Well, a change of direction, and you can see the ball being carried a little loosely away from the body, and it just gets poked away. Allen did not really tightly secure that ball, and Michael Hawthorne, number 27, able to pull it in.
And we welcome those of you who have seen the Buffalo Bills continue their tear here late in the season with a win at Cincinnati, 33-17. Jacksonville struck early on their first possession, leading 7-0. Stopped Green Bay, but now the fumble on the punt return by Allen of the Jaguars, and it's far throwing, completing to Javon Walker at the 11-yard line.
What a move Brett Favre put on Greg Favors to get him up in the air with a pump fake so he could buy a little more time to deliver this ball. Look on the left of your screen, 55 fit right there. He just gets Favors completely up and off the ground, buys him another 3 seconds to get it to Javon Walker. Javon Walker in motion, just running. He's selling the fade, and then he comes right back, breaking off the deep sideline. But that's all Brett Favre buying the extra time.
19 yards for Walker in a breakout season for the receiver out of Florida State. There's another scramble on the fumble by Amon Green, and Jacksonville says that they have it. We'll see what the pile of zebras determine. Yes, Green coughs it up, and it's right back to the Jaguars. And I have the sense, Dan Deerdorf, we're going to see a lot of loose balls today in this weather.
Well, Amon Green gets the handoff, but you can see as he makes the move, he bumps into his own lineman and loses it from his own guy.
Well, happy holidays from Wisconsin. With Dan Deerdorf and Armin Katayan, the Jacksonville Jaguars lead 7-0. It's a -3 chill factor, 12 degrees at kickoff, and it's going that way.
It's headed down, but the good news is that the wind isn't nearly as bad as it was last week. The Packers played the Lions here last week in 35-mile-an-hour winds. We're more in that 10 to 15 range.
We've already had 3 fumbles in this opening quarter. Flag down. That's Leftwich scrambling and dives across the 20-yard line. It appeared that a Jaguar was offside. And in these cold temperatures, to hang on to the football is going to be so crucial. And 3 fumbles, 2 of them recovered by the opposition.
Defense number 97. The penalty is declined. The play results in a first down.
Cledius Hunt guilty.
Well, we've had 3 fumbles, if you can imagine that, already in this game. From behind, Brett Favre fumbles, but Donald Driver, luckily for the Packers, recovered that one. And then we had a fumble, David Allen, on a punt return. The ball comes loose. That was recovered by Green Bay. And then Amon Green, just trying to change directions, bumps his own tackle, Mark Tauscher, and coughs it up.
Fred Taylor, who had a big 46-yard run to set up the touchdown for Jacksonville earlier, is hit by Barnett and Lennon. And we have an update. Let's go to Greg Gumbel in New York.
All right, Dick, here's how things ended between the Vikings and the Lions. Lions scored a touchdown with 8 seconds to play and then messed up the extra point attempt. Bad snap, no kick. Minnesota wins 28-27. Dick and Dan, back to you.
All right, Greg, and of course that game of extreme interest to Green Bay Packer fans who are hoping the Lions might take it to overtime. Green Bay and Minnesota play next week in Minneapolis. Packers currently lead by a half game after Minnesota's win. Taylor, no gain, maybe a yard at best into the thick of that Green Bay defense. Well, here's a look at the NFC playoff picture. Philadelphia rallied against Dallas. Atlanta won last night. Green Bay and Seattle currently leading in the NFC West with Minnesota at 8-6. St. Louis is still in it. Carolina, despite the defeat last night, is alive, and Tampa Bay and New Orleans with flickering hopes.
How about Michael Vick last night on 4th and 12 running for a touchdown?
He's so brilliant. 3rd and 7 for Leftwich, who has thrown only 1 pass, and that was a touchdown to Jimmy Smith. He goes to Smith again. But no, this time it's to Reggie Williams, and a flag is down.
Oh, that's got to be interference on Joey Thomas. No question about that.
Big Reggie Williams, and Jack Del Rio said this is why we drafted this kid at 6'4" and 223 for cold weather games where he has the size and power to be able to come up with a play in traffic.
Before the ball was thrown, holding defense number 24. It's a 5-yard penalty and an automatic first down.
Well, that's a break for Green Bay because it's only a 5-yard penalty determined the hold came before the ball was in the air. But a good look right there. Now, to me, he's holding him right there downfield as well. That could have gone either way. I think the defensive hold was just called first. I think he was guilty of a hold and interference.
Yeah, fans are booing, but that seemed quite clear to be a couple of fouls by Thomas.
Well, I think the crowd's upset with the penalty because the Green Bay Packers, as that graphic shows you, they've been killing themselves with penalties defensively, moving the chains for their opponents.
Nearly 200 yards and penalties the last 2 games. That's a pitch to Troy Edwards, and Edwards, the receiver, bumped out of bounds by Harris at the 31.
Troy Edwards on the reverse.
Al Harris, former Eagle, played behind Troy Vincent and Bobby Taylor in Philadelphia for 5 years and developed into one of the top cornerbacks when given the chance to play regularly. Is on his 50th birthday, Mike Sherman solidly and hopefully at work today here in Green Bay. Party will come later with his beautiful family of 5. Hopefully a victory party if you're a Green Bay fan. 2nd and 8. 24-year-old Byron Leftwich from Marshall. Handing off to Taylor, and again, right into a crowd of Packers. That big Grady Jackson, Dan, in the middle at 340, replacing Gilbert Brown. How key he has been to the Packers' comeback this year from 1-4 start.
Well, I mentioned that when he hurt that knee in the opener and then missed the next 5 games. Do the math. Dick's right. They were 1-4, and then Jackson comes back and they reel off 6 consecutive wins. He's all the difference in the middle, especially when you have a smaller middle linebacker in Nick Barnett. Hunt and Jackson, their job is to allow the very speedy Barnett a lot of room to roam.
LeBrandon Tofield now the running back, replacing Taylor on a passing down. The give is to Tofield. He runs right into Baja Biamila and Cledius Hunt. Good defensive stand by Green Bay, and out comes Chris Hansen, the left-footed punter for Jacksonville.
Well, even though it was a a series for the Green Bay defense that had 2 defensive penalties. Remember, Cledius Hunt was offsides, and then the holding call against Thomas, they did ultimately force a punt. But Green Bay has got to get better in the penalty department.
Hansen kicking it to Antonio Chapman into the wind. Chapman comes up the field at the 37 and is greeted at the 41-yard line by Tommy Hendricks, one of the top special teams covermen in the league. So here in Green Bay, underway, a 7-0 lead for the Jaguars.
By the new Chevrolets, 10 new cars and trucks in 20 months. An American revolution.
First down.
And welcome back to Green Bay. Brett Favre and the Packers go to work. They've had trouble in the last 3 games. Outscored 55-3. Eagles, Lions, and now the Jaguars today. Favre stepping up and guns the ball complete. Javon Walker breaking out this year. Started today with 70 catches, 10 touchdowns, and a Pro Bowl bid. Let's go down to Armin Katayan.
Thank you, Dick. You know, there have been, when it comes to the cold, a lot of technological advances since those days back in '67 at the Ice Bowl. Here's one of the more interesting ones as far as Brett Favre's helmet. It's kept in this box on the sideline to keep it nice and toasty, developed by a Green Bay company. And as for Byron Leftwich, I'll tell you about that in a second in his head.
After the game to Walker, the give is to Green. Spins down to the 39. How about Leftwich? Where's his helmet?
Well, you know, Dick, it's interesting with Byron Leftwich. You wonder about his head. Well, thanks to Drew Hampton, the equipment manager of the Jags, who saw this game on the schedule in late December, he called the Green Bay company, ordered a helmet. So as far as Byron is concerned, when it comes to the cold, he's got some warmth on his head as well. Back to you.
Armin, where are the linemen's helmets? where do they get to keep their helmets here?
Sorry, Danny boy.
Oh, you know, this is not right. This is just not right.
Investigation to follow. Detective Deerdorf on the case. And a whistle before the snap. And a false start against Green Bay.
Flags on a play.
Before the ball was snapped, false start, offense, number 89. 5-yard penalty, still second down.
You know it's cold, Dick, when Ed Hockley is wearing long sleeves.
You can't see those triceps.
That's right. Ed Hockley likes those short sleeves, boy.
So second down and 13 for Green Bay. Brett Favre in his 203rd consecutive start. It's just beyond stunning, the perseverance and the physical strength of this man, and mental strength. Green powers his way to the 36-yard line before Darius and Grant collaborate. Pair of safeties for Jacksonville. 38-1 in home games. The only loss was a couple of years ago, remember, in the playoffs against Atlanta. He's unbeaten in the regular season, 31-0. When played in 34 degrees or colder. It qualifies today, folks. It's down to about 10 degrees and under 0 chill factor. That was the kickoff temperature, 12 degrees.
Keep in mind, he didn't grow up in Anchorage.
That's right, southern Mississippi. And yeah, he's acclimated well, though, hasn't he? Here's the long throw for Walker. Almost intercepted. Good coverage by Rashean Mathis. Fans wanted a call, but Mathis had good position.
No, the crowd's upset about it, but that sure looked like good coverage. That's just perfect coverage. Mathis, when there's some contact between the two, is turned around and making a play on the football. And even though the fans at Lambeau don't like it, he has as much right to that football as does Javon Walker. Excellent coverage.
Now fans reacting to the replay, and of course with their hearts wanted the call. Here's Brian Barker to punt it. That's with the wind, so the wind will carry it into the end zone. And one of the officials encountering the Packer man downfield, Jason Horton, and fans booing that collision.
Well, Jason gets involved with a little stare down of the back judge. It looks like the ball might be able to be saved, but in reality, I don't think Horton had a chance.
And welcome back to Green Bay. Late start here in land of the great cheeses.
How beautiful is that, John?
7-0 Jacksonville. 2:41 left in the opening quarter. Jaguars start from the 20 after the touchback. Taylor and Mark Edwards in front of him. This is Taylor. And again surrounded by 7-8 Packers led by Nick Barnett. Get the latest NFL playoff race scenarios with predictions and analysis from CBS Sportsline's NFL experts. Click on NFL at cbssportsline.com. Green Bay is in the playoffs. It was an unusual combination of losses by the Bears, Giants, Cowboys, and Carolina. And so this game, had they won it, would have been their ticket to the playoffs, but that is a moot point now. They're in. Now they need to keep on the victory trail to assure themselves the division championship. Caromed off a lineman, Aaron Campman, as Leftwich trying to go into the flat to Reggie Williams.
3rd and 8, ball at 22.
Well, good job by Campman doing what he got cut, but he bounces right back up, realizes he's not going to get there, and he actually took that Leftwich throw right in the face mask.
Campman from the University of Iowa, and from that Parkersburg, Iowa town of 2000 that have produced 4 players to the NFL, including the center for Jacksonville, Brad Meester.
A town of 2,000 people.
Isn't that amazing? Leftwich guns it to the sideline, incomplete, batted away by Joey Thomas, and the Packers have held. Reggie Williams was the intended receiver. Thomas, he's used to playing in this weather. He's from Montana State, same college that produced Hall of Famer Jan Stenerud. Chapman back for Green Bay at the 40, and again Hansen has to battle the wind, although it's not a strong wind, but it's around 15 today. Short kick up the field and hit immediately as Chapman at the Packer 47-yard line. And timeout, 1:41.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Coca-Cola. Let's make it real. And by Hummer. Check out the H2 at Hummer.com. Hummer, like nothing else.
Well, that hat on the left, Toivo Kotjavori from the Upper Peninsula. That George Gipp country, you know. That
Our director, Bob Fishman, our producer, Mark Wolf, could spend all day looking at the hats here at Lambeau.
Favre goes to work, handoff inside to Green, and Green battles to the 50-yard line, and a pickup of 3. Darius and Stroud, the tackler. Green, bare-armed, he said from the day he was a freshman at Nebraska. And Tom Osborne, the cold weather, you don't wear long sleeves. And talk about long sleeves or not, Brett Favre, 25-2 after December 1st here at Lambeau. You just have to really be good to beat the Packers and Favre in this kind of weather. He's going long, wide open, or is he? Knocked away at the last minute as Darius moved over from safety to take care of Donald Driver. Driver with 68 catches, just 2 less than Javon Walker coming in.
Well, it's a tough pattern to complete into cover 2, and that's exactly what they're trying to do here against Jacksonville. Safety help in the middle. Donovan Darius is there, and that ball hung up in the air a little bit, or Darius might have had a better chance at it. That is a very difficult seam pattern to try to complete against a deep zone.
Packers 3rd and 7. They're second best in the league on 3rd down. There's a credit to Favre, 47% conversion. Favre down the middle, and there he is, wide open. Walker breaks the tackle, and he's inside the 30. Darius finally got him to the frozen turf at the 26.
Well, we were talking about the physical presence of Reggie Williams, the receiver for Jacksonville. Javon Walker brings that to the Green Bay passing offense at 6'3", 215 pounds. And right there you see the strength as he breaks the tackle of Deion Grant. Outstanding pass protection, and Brett Favre says in bad weather it is easier to throw the longer pass where I can really step into it and drive the football. And that was a good look at Brett Favre driving the football. That was not a touch pass.
Yeah, he had his back bowed on that one. Green inside to the 24-yard line. Walker with that last catch, 3 now today. And with the run by Green, the final seconds of the first quarter, Jacksonville 7, Green Bay nothing. Will return to Lambeau after these messages. You're well in that polka by the Happy Schnapps combo out of Sheboygan, Wisconsin.
Well, schnapps will make you happy for a brief period of time. And then the Grim Reaper comes calling.
Well, it keeps you dancing. That's what counts. Now, Brett Favre and the Packers. We got set to go here in the second period at Lambeau Field. Dick Enberg, Dan Deerdorf, Armin Katayan, Bob Fishman, our director, Mark Wolf, our producer. Pleased you're with us in the frozen climes of the north. Second down 8. Green. Last with a penalty flag down to the 18-yard line. Peterson and Favors with the stop. Referee Hockley tossed the flag. And that'll come back. Yeah, the antifreeze is gone in the microphone system of our referee.
Well, the two guys for the Packers that really have their work cut out for them are Mike Wall, the left guard, and Marco Rivera, the right guard, who draw Henderson and Stroud respectively. They are two lighter guards, guys that are really adept at running, pulling, trapping. There's a lot of movement involved in this Green Bay offense, and they're fighting an uphill battle against Stroud and Henderson in the physical way they play right at the line of scrimmage.
Najee Davenport fake to him, and Favre tripped up. He just flips it away and almost completes it. Coming back to meet the ball was Ben Steele, the second tight end.
How good was that?
Saved about a 10-yard loss and almost completed the pass, did Favre.
Did Brett land awkwardly? Let's look at him come down right here. Boy, you don't get a chance to protect yourself and get an arm out to break that fall. He falls right on his right shoulder.
It's Greg Favors that caught him from behind. Favors, a linebacker playing at end. Actually, this Jacksonville defense is 2-5. They have the two big men in the middle and then 5 linebackers because they don't have any healthy defensive ends. Tony Fisher, the running back, and Favre guns it open and complete to Antonio Chapman, and Chapman is into the 17, very close to the first down. And Favre still acting as though that left hand and wrist are bothering him.
Yeah, he's looking over at the Green Bay sideline. He really cranked this thing. We talked about him driving the ball before in the first quarter. Take a look at this thing. He really cuts loose. No wind is going to affect that throw, but Brett Favre is clearly favoring his left hand, and the crowd here unhappy with the spot.
It's not quite a full yard on 4th down, and Favre's going to have that left hand and wrist examined while Ryan Longwell comes in for an apparent field goal. This one would be 35 yards. He's made 44 in a row inside the 40 and make it 45 straight for Longwell inside the 40, and the Packers on the board. It's 7-3 Jacksonville. How about Shannon Sharpe? He'll call this one of the best and worst seasons he can remember. All you have to do is log on to NFL.com and see why. Read more. NFL.com or NFL on AOL. As Longwell kicks it off, Greg Jones, Toefield and company deep, comes down short to Jones, and he's out across the 35 to the 36-yard line. Meanwhile, Brett Favre being attended to on the Green Bay sideline. He's in pain. Back at Lambeau Field, word from the sidelines. Favre, a bruised left forearm. They bandaged it. You can see there the wrist and the thumb is in anchor position. Left hand, not as serious, obviously, as for the right hand. 7-3 Jacksonville. The toss is to Taylor. And Taylor fights to the 40 and a gain of 4. Aaron Campbell makes the tackle.
Let's go back and look at Brett Favre and watch how, as he's tripped by Greg Favors, he's going to have to use his left hand right there to break his fall as he falls on his right side, but the left hand got caught in an awkward position. You could see how much pain he was in as we went to commercial, but they have taped the left wrist and the left thumb, although officially they're calling it a forearm bruise.
And boy, in these conditions, so cold, you wonder if that's going to impact even taking the ball from center. Toss to Taylor, no gain. And that interior defense supported by Mark Roman, a strong safety. Armin, what do you have for us?
Well, Dick, as you said, Dan, I've been watching Brett very closely, and yeah, it may be a forearm injury, but it's definitely connected to that wrist and thumb. That training staff spent a lot of time looking at that thumb and manipulating that thumb, so we'll keep an eye on it.
I'm with you, Armin. It looks more to be like the wrist and thumb area. I don't see anybody going way up on his forearm.
3rd down, 6 for Jacksonville. They go with the 2 wide receivers left, 2 wide right, and Taylor in the backfield with Leftwich. Down the middle, complete, but short of the 1st down. As the Packers gather around Troy Edwards after the catch. He caught the ball a yard shy, and now Leftwich is down after the throw, and he's holding a wrist.
He's holding his left arm. Something's definitely wrong with Byron Leftwich. And let me tell you, when Leftwich is like Favre, when he's hurt, he's really hurt.
Ooh.
Oh, he gets a helmet right in the sternum.
Cullen Jenkins, a young defender from Central Michigan, with a hit. Timeout.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Nikon Digital. If the picture matters, the camera matters. Cadillac and the new STS with available performance-tuned all-wheel drive. Breakthrough. And by Bud Light. Fresh, smooth, real. It's all here.
Early visit from the man of winter here in the great Midwest. And Byron Leftwich being attended to on the sidelines after a vicious hit as he delivered that last pass. Now with the wind at his back. The punt by Hansen down to Antonio Chapman. And Chapman breaks a couple of tackles. Great run. And up across the 40-yard line. To the 42 goes the second-year kick returner from the University of Cincinnati. Hansen, the punter, in on the tackle. Reminder tonight on CBS, 60 Minutes. And, of course, the incredible story of Ricky Williams. Fascinating indeed. Then catch a new episode of Cold Case, followed by Gary Sinise and Jolie Richardson, Hallmark Hall of Fame's Fallen Angel, tonight on CBS, America's most watched network.
They are working on the left wrist of Byron Leftwich. And speaking of left arm and wrist injuries, here's Brett Favre.
Starts from the 43 and gives to Green. Not much there, maybe a yard. Marcus Stroud, the tackler. Let's go back down on the field to Armin Katayan.
Well, Dick, I'm right behind the Jaguars bench, and Byron Leftwich is in agony, to say the least, and it's definitely that left wrist area, the top of the hand, and I would say right now, questionable would be the word to use for his return. Back to you.
Okay, Armin. And, of course, all of that intensified by the cold field that you're slamming into. It's, you know, like playing on concrete.
At least David Garrard is his backup.
Favre throwing, batted in the air and complete. Good defense by Mathis against Walker. That's a couple of good plays by Rasheem Mathis, the second-year corner from Bethune-Cookman.
Well, he's got some help from the safety Donovan Darius as well, but Brett Favre delivers a beautiful pass to Javon Walker. Take a look at this throw right on the hands. But a very good job. Mathis, I think, is going to get his left hand on the football and knock it out.
Oh, lots of hands on Mathis.
Yeah, there were.
He was all over Walker. Did everything but steal his wallet.
Yeah, he did.
No call. 3rd and 10. Favre down the middle, complete. And it's to Robert Ferguson, and he has a first down at the 45 of Jacksonville. And again, 3rd and 10. or more. 34% success for Green Bay, and here's another bullet thrown by Favre.
Well, that time a nice job by the Green Bay offensive line of diverting the Jacksonville pass rush to the outside, which allowed Brett Favre to step up, get some velocity on that throw, but more importantly, to have an unimpeded view of the middle of the field.
Trailing 7-3, Favre play action, swings it into the flat, complete to William Henderson. Henderson, who hasn't carried the ball all season, in fact, has had only a handful of carries, 22 in the last 5 years, but a good receiver and, of course, an outstanding blocker.
Well, there's Byron Leftwich. You can see him trying to take a snap. He's working with Brad Meester, his center, seeing if he's physically able to take a snap. You can see he's got his right hand underneath there. He might be shifting it around a little bit to take more of the pressure off of that left wrist.
Meanwhile, second down and 9. It's Green slashing off the right side a couple of yards. Mike Peterson, yet another tackle. Good pickup by Jacksonville from Indianapolis. This kid Peterson, who played outside linebacker with the Colts and moved inside. He's just a tackling machine.
Well, you can do that, Dick. You can move a less physical player into the middle linebacker position if you have 2 men at defensive tackle the way the Jaguars do. You can get away with it because it's hard to find Mike Peterson when you got to get through Marcus Stroud and John Henderson to find him.
Third down and 9. Spread and in the shotgun, Favre. And timeout called by the Packers as they saw that play clock running down. Back in Green Bay, a reminder, Bill Murray is going to be with David tomorrow night. It's all new, the Letterman Show on CBS this coming week. Going the holiday spirit on CBS. Tony Fisher in the backfield with Favre on 3rd and 9 at the 44 of Jacksonville. 8.5 minutes remaining, first half. Jaguars lead 7-3. Quickie over the middle, incomplete. And no flag. Now a late flag from the back judge, who was 40 yards downfield. Donald Driver going against Kewaukee Thomas. And Thomas, that appeared to be within the 5-yard range, the contact.
Well, you be within the 5-yard range, but if the ball's in the air,
pass interference,
it's interference.
Number 24.
And so a first down with it.
Donald Driver is right here, the inside guy, and you can see right there the ball is in the air. Yes, it's within the 5-yard zone. You can see within the 5-yard zone, contact is okay, but not if the football has already been released from the quarterback. A good call by the official. And of course, because Driver was the inside receiver, the back judge has that responsibility.
Illegal contact, pass interference, first down.
And that explained by Hockley to the crowd here at Lambeau. First down at the 40-yard line. Jack Del Rio, who played against Favre when he was a linebacker with the Vikings, and now the second youngest head coach in the league. A tough guy and a terrific baseball player at Southern California, his alma mater. He was the catcher for a couple pretty good throwers. Mark McGuire, who was a pitcher in his collegiate days. And now it's up the middle to Amon Green. Green just always 100% hard as he charges forward.
Well, that was a good job up front. That's just good old-fashioned power football, as they're going to get right in between, and you can see right over the top of Marcus Stroud. Marco Rivera does a nice job of engaging Stroud, and then Amon Green actually finishes him off with a shoulder.
There's the toss to Green. Oh, he runs hard to the 21-yard line, and another Packer first down. Hendricks and Washington with the stop.
Amon Green going with the bare arms in this cold weather, telling us that Tom Osborne, his coach at Nebraska, said, no, if you're going to run the football, you're going to go in short sleeves. Wearing long sleeves only makes the football slippery. You're going to lose it more often. And Amon Green, who had a lot of trouble with fumbles early in his career, he's got one today. And Amon spends a little time in the weight room, as you might guess from the size of those biceps.
Najee Davenport replaces him. Davenport, a 250-pounder. Fake to him. Off-balance throw, but wide open on the sideline is Javon Walker. And a catch of about 5 yards.
2nd and 4, ball on the 15.
Lambeau leap for Brett Favre. First 3 games of the year at home here. Certainly uncharacteristic, 0-3, but look at what's happened since. 4-0, 10 touchdowns, no interceptions, and a rating of 115 for Favre.
Thought the world was going to spin off its axis and float away. The Packers opening up 0-3. A lot of incredulous people here in Wisconsin.
On 2nd and 5, Favre, the quick toss is complete to Bubba Franks, and Franks pushed out of bounds by Mathis and Darius, 2 defensive backs, short of the first down.
Bubba Franks acting like Barry Sanders out in the flat out there. I think Bubba's got to realize that he's a 265-pound tight end. Better to lower the shoulder and just head forward. You're not gonna put the juke on too many corners, I don't think, Bubba.
Closer to 3rd and 2 than 3rd and 3, but technically it's 3 yards for the first down. Walker to the right. Fisher in the backfield. Driver in motion to the right. Favre incomplete in the end zone as he was trying to hit Walker. The coverage by Rasheem Mathis.
Another good example of this Green Bay offensive line and the look they're giving up the middle of the field for Brett Favre. Take a look at that. An outstanding job of pass protection. And that ball from Brett, he was trying to throw it low. He thought that might be the only chance that Walker had for it, but it got away from him a little bit and went just a little too low.
31-yard attempt for Longwell, who was hit earlier from 35. And this one to the right, no good. And there's the streak, 45 in a row. Successful for Longwell inside the 40, but misses badly on that one. Just sounded like he was trying to kick a rock. A reminder tonight on the Hallmark Hall of Fame. He met her the night her father disappeared. Now 30 years later, fate brings them back together. Jolie Richardson and CSI New York's Gary Sinise star in Hallmark Hall of Fame's Fallen Angel tonight at 9/8 Central on CBS. Still leading 7-3, and Leftwich back in the game. Toss to Taylor. And Taylor, again, just earning yardage at a big price, only a couple, as Darren Sharper came up from safety to help out on the tackle.
Well, no surprise. I'm sorry, I was just going to say, no surprise, Leftwich back in the game.
Now, he's got a baby face, but this is one tough young kid. 24 years old, out of Washington, D.C. Said, I'm used to playing in the cold. And at Marshall, they had some snowy, icy games in West Virginia, too.
He had a great line. He said, I always dreamed about playing at Lambeau Field, and never in my dreams was it a warm day.
They weren't sweating.
No, you always dream about being here on a cold December day.
Well, he's fulfilling it today in this sub-zero chill factor. He's hit as he throws and almost intercepted. As Baja Biamila with a hit from behind, and Hannibal Navies almost had a freebie.
And Leftwich is still down. Baja Biamila is really hurt.
And they're calling that a fumble. They're calling it a fumble and a touchdown. The Sharper wisely scooped it up just in case. No one reacted.
Well,
everyone thought it was an incomplete pass.
Well, and everybody's distracted by the fact that Baja Biamila is down on the field in agony. Byron Leftwich remained down on the field. And I think most of the players became fixated on the fact that they got 2 injured players. Baja Biamila is still down on the field. I think all the players focused on the 2 injured guys. And Darren Sharper stayed with it, heard no whistle, and kept playing.
Well, one would think that Del Rio will challenge this call. And No replays yet to confirm or not whether Leftwich's arm was moving forward. But Biamila, who is so quick from the corner, has 8.5 sacks this year to lead.
Well,
and there it is. There's the challenge from Del Rio. Yeah, Kabir Baja Biamila with 13.5, 12, 10 sacks in the last 3 years.
Jacksonville is challenging the ruling on the field that it was a fumble.
Well, you could see that hitting Byron Leftwich from behind was Biamila. Now, Baja Biamila, we see that the arm of Byron Leftwich went forward, but it looked like the football had already left his arm before it started forward. And if that's the case, it's a fumble. Sharper knocks the ball out of Vince Monoway's hand, who was holding the ball.
Boy, is that a smart play by Sharper. That is really a brilliant
We're going to have
play.
to look at that again. Don't be confused. You can't get fixated on Byron Leftwich's arm and it's moving forward. Had he lost the ball before that arm started forward? That's the critical part of this replay.
These fans in Green Bay are so savvy. When they show the replay, they're going to let the officials know exactly that they think this is a fumble.
Let's really look.
That's a tough call, isn't it?
Well, because the ball is moving forward, you're almost having to think that Byron Leftwich put the impetus on that ball to move it forward if Baja Biamila did not hit the ball himself.
Yeah. I thought with the naked eye that it was an incomplete pass, and that Sharper was just in case going to take it in.
On that look right there, it did look to me like it was an incomplete pass. Let's try. Here's another closer look.
Well, that's from that angle. It's different.
Yeah, because now you can almost make the case that the hit from Baja Biamila forcing Leftwich's body forward might have propelled him forward. And, no doubt about the fact that Darren Sharper being very sharp in knocking the ball out of Vince Monoway's hands as he picked it up thinking the play was dead.
The issue on a play like that is whether the ball is still firmly gripped in the quarterback's hand when the hand starts forward. After reviewing the play, the ball had been knocked loose, was on the palm of his hand, pushed forward. Therefore, the ruling on the field stands as called. It's a touchdown. Jacksonville is charged with a timeout.
Well, two big plays, one by Baja Biamila and the other by Darren Sharper.
Yeah, you can actually see that I see what Ed Hockley is saying, that the impact from Baja Biamila is actually forcing the ball out, and it was not the throwing motion per se of Byron Leftwich. Keep in mind the ruling on the field was a fumble. Ed Hockley would have had to see something absolutely conclusive to show him otherwise, and I don't think that was there on that replay. And it's apparent why it stood.
And there was only one man on the field smart enough and quick enough on his feet to take advantage, and that was Darren Sharper, who throughout his career has been such a ball hawk. That is his 6th career defensive touchdown, just one away from Herb Adderley's Green Bay record.
And how do you think Vince Monoway feels right now? The left guard of Jacksonville, who picked the ball up off the ground and was just standing there holding it when Sharper swatted out of his hand. He could have picked it up and run he might have gone the other way for 10 or 15 yards.
Try for point by Longwell. 15-yard touchdown by Sharper. He had 4 at the start this year. You saw the graphic 5, but he has 2 this year, and that gives him 6 in his brilliant career.
One more look at it at the top of your screen is Kabir Baja Biamila. He comes behind and hits Byron Leftwich a nanosecond before he starts forward. Vince Monoway, 67, picks it up. Here comes Sharper. He knocks it out. And the only 2 guys right there that have any idea what's going on are Darren Sharper and Vince Monoway. Unfortunately, too late for Monoway.
And it's actually a Monoway fumble that creates the touchdown by Sharper. This is Greg Jones. Big 250-pounder returning. And tonight on CBS, a young DA found murdered. Now 5 years later, cold case detectives retrace his last steps. You won't believe where they lead. Don't miss a new cold case tonight at 8/7 Central. CBS, America's most watched network. Now Jacksonville with a first touchdown on their initial possession, 7-0 on a touchdown throw Leftwich to Smith, but now it's the Packers, a field goal and a fumble for a touchdown to lead it 10-7. Taylor sprints and vaults to the 40. A gain of about 7. Ahmad Carroll, the rookie corner from Arkansas, tripped him up.
The one thing you can count on in a cold weather game is that the football is going to be on the field. And we have seen it on the field, what, four times already in this game in the first half, and we still got over 4 minutes to play in this half. And it's to be expected, and boy, that was just, you can't give enough out of 22 that stayed alive.
Looks like offside Green Bay as the give is to Taylor. He has the first down at the 44-yard line. Left end Aaron Campbell seemed lurched off. Now, if you're just joining us, Green Bay knows they're in the playoffs.
Offside, defense number 74, 5-yard penalty, first down.
And Jacksonville picks up an extra yard on the penalty, so they accept the call out to the 44. Jacksonville still with their own hopes of making the AFC playoffs as a wild card. They have the game here in Green Bay today, and then they're home against Houston next week and finish at Oakland. And they have a lot of good things going for them in terms of tiebreakers. Leftwich throws downfield. That's going to be interference against Green Bay, as Hannibal Navies was all over Kyle Brady, the tight end. And Leftwich is hurt again.
Yeah, Byron Leftwich that time stepped to his left, but stepped right into the pass rush.
And a flag thrown by Leftwich as well.
Watch Byron Leftwich. He's looking downfield, and right there he steps to his left and really gets drilled. And what they're going to call right there, Aaron Campbell, for picking him up and driving him into the ground. If that's the call on Campbell, that's what it's going to be
There
for.
were 2 fouls by the defense on the play. Personal foul, roughing the passer. Number 74 drove the quarterback into the ground. That penalty's declined. There's also pass interference. Number 50. Ball is placed at the spot of the foul. First down.
Well, Hannibal Navies gets called on the interference. Right there working on the slot. He's trailing Brady right there, and he fouled him 2 or 3 times on the way down the field. But with Campbell, that wasn't a late hit. It wasn't roughing the quarterback until he drove him into the ground and drove his shoulder into Leftwich, driving him into the ground. That's what drew the ire of Ed Ocula.
28-yard pass interference call. First down inside the 30-yard line. Leftwich a lot of time and throws long for Smith. Incomplete. I don't think he would have been in the end zone had he caught it. Al Harris covering.
Well, we've been watching this matchup the whole time here. Al Harris going to work exclusively against Jimmy Smith. Look at that out and up by the veteran, but Al Harris did a pretty good job of staying with it, and that was some throw from Byron Leftwich. It did hit Jimmy Smith right on the right arm. It would have been touchy to get in for him to keep both feet in, but what a throw from Leftwich.
Ernest Wilford in for Jimmy Smith. He's up to the left. Edwards and Taylor with 3:23 left in the first half. It's Taylor running through tacklers to the 20-yard line, a gain of 8.
Watching Fred Taylor there, Dick, run that football, I think back to what Mike Sherman told us in a very, admiring the way Jacksonville plays football. He said it's almost preparing for one of our NFC North opponents. The way they run the football, the way they defend the run. He said they're a team from the South, but they're built to play football in the North, and he was being very complimentary in saying that.
Yeah, Jack Del Rio would have enjoyed hearing it. 76 yards for Taylor. Third and 4, Leftwich underneath, and it's incomplete to Cortez Hankton, and a flag down in the secondary.
Well, my initial reaction was that was a heck of a play by Al Harris.
Might have been on the receiver to the outside.
Before the pass was thrown, holding defense number 31. 5-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Okay, well, I was reacting to the end of the play from Al Harris. Let's watch it at the very beginning. Oh, you see with his right hand, you can a good look right there that as far as Hankton was concerned, Al Harris grabbed his jersey with his right hand. You can see him give it a tug. And that's what did the holding. Yep, that's automatic.
Yeah, that was dictated at the start of the summer to all teams. You grab the jersey, we're throwing the flag. First down on the penalty, and it takes it near the 15-yard line. Leftwich into the end zone, has a man wide open. It's Smith again. 2 touchdowns for the veteran Jimmy Smith, and Leftwich in pain once again.
Well, this is just a clinic in route running by Jimmy Smith.
His 5th and 6th touchdowns of the season today.
First of all, you can see Byron Leftwich really pretty much incidental contact. But watch this route by Jimmy Smith against Al Harris. Ooh, the way he looks around. Did you see the head turn as if he was anticipating the ball and then snapping and breaking his route off to the left? That was beautiful.
And that was a good job by Chris Hansen, the holder, to get the ball spotted for Josh Scobie and the extra point. Jacksonville reclaims the lead. Jimmy Smith, he didn't play his first 3 years in the league. He says, so I'm not really 35. My body is 32. Boy, that was a young move he put on the secondary of the Packers for that touchdown.
I told Jimmy Smith yesterday if Cosell was still around, he would call him the aged one at 35. But boy, that move there showed you that Jimmy Smith still brings his A game to the park.
His nickname in his younger days, Lightning. He still got some spark, doesn't he?
Yes, he does. The way he snapped his head around to the right on that route, selling it to Al Harris, and then smoothly breaking it off the other way. That was nice.
Kick by Scobie down to Ferguson, Robert Ferguson, and he drags a tackler to the 30-yard line with 2:23 left in the half. Tuesday, a special time on CBS, the Watched Network. Now the Packers now trail 14-10, and Favre and Green Bay go back to work. Ahman Green, the running back. Green Bay has 2 timeouts left. Green on the throws. He's smacked hard by Mike Peterson, who filled the hole.
Just a 3-4 look here by Jacksonville, and nobody from Green Bay bothers to block the middle plugger there, Mike Peterson, and that, folks, is a textbook tackle. Talk about forming up, squaring the shoulders, and driving right through the ball carrier.
And high marks for Green to not fumble. Fans of Green Bay.
Look at this. I'm telling you, these are the best hats in the NFL. This stadium is full of good-looking hats and some not so good-looking ones.
Right. But great fans. What wonderful fans they are. They're so knowledgeable. It's a way of life here in Wisconsin, especially the Green Bay area. They live for the Packers, and they live for even a cold day like this. And temperature dropping down to 11. Favre, quick throw, complete to Driver. And Driver stays in bounds for some extra yards and may have the first down at the 40.
Arians first time out of bounds.
A reminder coming up on the Nextel halftime report. Greg, Dan, Shannon, and Boomer. Wonder what the temperature is in the studio there. Latest NFL scores and highlights all coming up on the Nextel halftime report. It was a little heated on the NFL today. They had some good action going there.
About 60 degrees warmer than it is here.
Favre on first down. Over the middle, complete to Walker, and Walker has 10 more, so a couple of 10-yard completions.
Just fasten your seatbelts, folks. Watch Brett Favre do his thing inside 2 minutes. The Pack still has 2 timeouts remaining. He is very calm about this. He knows he's got plenty of time.
Whom would you rather have than Favre in this 2-minute drill? Underneath, complete to Bubba Franks, and he goes out of bounds, stops the clock. Plenty of time left. 1:24. Minnesota won 28-27 earlier when the Lions missed an extra point in the final seconds of their game in Detroit. Because of a combination of defeats, Green Bay is in the playoffs, but of course still undecided who will win the NFC North as they'll play in Minnesota next week.
You know, Detroit proves it's hard to get over the hump when you've been losing for a long time. Those things don't happen to winning teams.
Favre rocks and fires. Wide open is Chapman. Antonio Chapman, the fourth wideout, left alone down the middle. First down at the 24. And timeout with 1:18 left in the half. Brett Favre, his place already well reserved in Canton, Ohio. 14 for 19 here in the first half and 152 yards. Cold, hard football. Temperature, chill factor below 0, and Favre working like he's playing on the beach. First down at the Jacksonville 24. Fumble and a scramble. Who's got it? They're digging hard. And Darrell Smith was the first to get a hand on it for Jacksonville, and he recovers. Oh, my. Del Rio's Jaguars deny Favre's stretch toward the end zone and a lead at halftime. His passes were pinpoint and moving the team, and then the handoff, and Green nailed and fumbled for the second time.
Well, actually, it's between the exchange right there, but he didn't fumble when he got hit. Brett Favre and Amon Green could not get that ball put away. And that is really, this game is tough enough as it is without making it easy like that. Fumbling next to the center quarterback exchange. That is a relatively straightforward handoff between 2 NFL veterans. And that was just a major miscue.
Meanwhile, the rookie from Georgia Tech, Smith, with a fumble recovery. 1:10 left, and Jacksonville has 2 timeouts. So Leftwich and company will try to add to the lead. Throws to the tight end Yoder, and Yoder can't get out of bounds. Does have a first down, it would appear, at the 42 before Michael Hawthorne can ride him to the turf.
Well, I think it's pretty apparent, Dick, to everyone here in Lambeau, this is a team from Florida, and they don't seem to be that fazed by it being cold here at Lambeau.
Well, there's a flag flies before the snap. Kabir Baja-Biamila trying to guess on the snap count.
Yeah, but that shouldn't have brought a whistle unless somebody from Jacksonville either moved or they thought he was going to be unabated, but going off sides.
Unless he made contact.
Just, you know, I don't know why the whistle blew.
Neutral zone infraction. Defense, number 94, came into the neutral zone, causing the false start. It's a 5-yard penalty. Still first down.
Okay, well, a false start then is what caused the whistle to blow, because normally just Baja-Biamila being in the neutral zone shouldn't bring a whistle.
So Packers with 58 yards and penalties. They're on course for another big day in that column, which is disturbing to these Green Bay fans and their coach Mike Sherman. So on first down and 5, Leftwich underneath, and a flag down again. Fred Taylor was the intended receiver. Arkel Truluck came up celebrating.
Holding offense number 74. 10-yard penalty.
Apparently
First down.
he drew the hold from Mo Williams, the big right tackle. And Jacksonville, their third penalty. Green Bay 7 for 63, and the last two games Packers have accumulated before this one almost 200 yards in penalties.
Well, 7 penalties is not even a good game's worth of penalties, and to accumulate that many in the first half, I think Mike Sherman will address that with his team. But you know, that's a common mantra that he's had all year. This has been a tough year for the Packers, who are on their way to one of their worst years ever in terms of penalties.
10 yards marks it back at the 36. 41 seconds left in the half. Here's that double-double formation. Incomplete. Over the middle, intended for Jimmy Smith, hoping to throw behind those two defensive backs that came up to blitz, and hoping Smith could get an open field in which to use his speed. 37 seconds left in the half. 3 fumbles, 2 recovered on each side, so that balance sheet is even.
Well, the key here for Byron Leftwich, you've got a 14-10 lead. Do not in any way take a risk with the football. Only a safe throw. And that's exactly what they did.
To Troy Edwards, and Edwards spins out to the 43, but that'll bring up third down to about 9.
You're on the road. You're at one of the toughest places to win. The deck is stacked against you. Be conservative.
Timeout, Jacksonville. 3rd and 9. And here's a look at the target line for Scobie. The 30-yard line would be a 47-yard field goal. He has kicked one 53, so need to penetrate down to the 29-yard line. Toefield in the backfield with Leftwich. He just does get it away. And incomplete. He tried to get Jimmy Smith, who thought he was held by Al Harris.
And Byron Leftwich is just taking a physical pounding in this first half in Green Bay. This time he's hit by Jenkins again, and look how he comes down awkwardly. He left earlier with the bad left wrist, and this has been some Green Bay pass rush, and both Byron Leftwich and Brett Favre are going to head right to the training room and have their wrists attended to, but they have spent a lot of this game on the ground.
Just getting away with it, Hansen, and it's partially blocked. It trickles out across the 50 to the Green Bay 44-yard line with 9 seconds left, and now 8 as they stop the clock and the Packers take over. Well, that puts them near midfield and a chance for Favre to unleash a long bomb and hope.
Okay, let's take a look at it here, see if we can see if somebody gets their hand on it.
Oh, low kick.
Yeah, it was kind of a low kick. From that angle, it's tough to see who might have touched it. Oh, there it is. We can see it right there. It's Leach.
Yep.
Yeah, Leach gets his hand on the ball.
He's been a good special teamer, rookie from East Carolina. So Favre comes out with 8 seconds and 1 timeout. Actually could go for a short sideline pass and then maybe go for the end zone. He's throwing into the wind. Not that that bothers the strong-armed 35-year-old out of the southern Mississippi.
Or an underthrown pass that might be able to draw a defensive penalty where you could kick it even though time expired.
And Favre goes down on the sack. Well, rare sack of Favre, the second today and only the 11th all year. Darrell Smith got his first NFL sack last week, and gets another today.
I think Ed Hockley is telling us that there's a second left in this game. A second left in this halftime, rather, that Brett Favre signaled for a timeout with 1 second remaining.
1 second remaining in the half, and Favre, flag down. Boy, there have been a lot of flags.
False start offense, number 76, 5-yard penalty. It's second down.
The fact that Favre would even take a timeout after the sack, that's Favre. He's still out there playing. He got a chance. Yeah, he's not going to let the clock just run out. And now apparently he says, yeah, let's go get warm. Said, you're the one that called timeout. Brett, get back in there. You got to throw it again.
Yeah, here again, we talked about Green Bay's penalties. 4th consecutive game, and this is just halftime.
Now he's just going to take the snap, kneel down, and that's the end of the first half in frigid Lambeau Field in Green Bay. The score 14-10. Jacksonville will be back with the next Monday. It has fallen in Green Bay. Temperature falling as well, down to 9 degrees as you look at the numbers in the first half, Dan. And of course, of those fumbles, the most unusual, a lineman fumbling and Sharper picking it up, or actually scraping it away and running in for a touchdown for Green Bay.
Do you think that ball security might have been an issue with both coaches talking to their teams at halftime? The temperature has now gone below. We're down into single digits now. We're 9 degrees. The good news is the wind isn't blowing that much, but obviously very difficult to hold on to the football. And I think the team that holds on to it the best in the second half is going to win. Let's go ahead and recap the first half, and a lot of
against the great success Green Bay has had after December 1, especially in cold weather. 34 degrees or colder, 38-1. But the Jaguars lead, and they're 4-0 this season, leading at the half.
Well, everybody at home tracking their fantasy players. Let's go ahead and get...
And Jack Del Rio, as he usually says, listen, we didn't come up here to be close. We came here to win this football game. And one thing he said he was talking to Ed Hockley about was he was arguing that Byron Leftwich's arm was moving forward as he understands the rule when that fumble occurred that turned into a touchdown. Dick?
All right, thanks, Harmon. Scobie's kick comes down to Robert Ferguson, and the former Texas A&M star is spun down at the 24-yard line. Well, when 34 degrees or colder, the only time Brett Favre has lost a game he started, January 2003, Packers lost to the team that drafted Favre, Atlanta, 27-7. That was the first ever home playoff loss for the Packers after 13 straight playoff victories in Green Bay. You don't get that look from Favre very often. He goes to work just inside the 25, Amon Green pushing the pile forward for 3, maybe 4 yards.
Dick, the one thing comes to mind is how poorly Green Bay played last week in the first half of their home win against Detroit, and then really came on in the last 30 minutes.
And of course, offensively, they only posted 3 points in the first half today and tonight. The touchdown coming on Sharper's very alert play, stripping the lineman of the Jacksonville Jaguars, Vince Monaway, of the ball. Monaway not knowing that that was a live ball. All day for Favre to find a receiver, and he does out of the 40, Javon Walker, and a first down.
Boy, Javon Walker does a great job of coming back to help out his quarterback, but into this breeze, watch Brett. Boy, does he put it on that ball. Look how that thing maintains its integrity. Look how low and tight that spiral is. And as he always does, he waits to the last minute, gets tripped up at the very end. But that was some throw, low and away and tight from Brett Favre.
Walker leading the Packers with 6 catches, 89 yards. Fake to Green. Favre again. Complete to Walker. 7th catch of the game. First down at the Jacksonville 40.
And this is just the way they started out last week after a pretty anemic first half offensively. Brett Favre came out throwing the ball all over the field against the Lions. And again, the go-to guy, Javon Walker. Rashean Mathis, the corner who's had a good first half, has played very well. But the big guy, it's apparent now in just his 3rd year, he is the go-to guy for number 4.
Walker played 3 years of minor league baseball as an outfielder for the Florida Marlins. You see those great hands of his, even in the cold weather. Now it's Green plowing for 5 to the 35.
Well, you think you can tell this Jackson. The ball was down on the ground. It looked to me, though, like he was down, although, again, I didn't hear a whistle.
We've heard a whistle after the play, and now time called by Hockley, the referee.
Ed appears to be a little confused where he's going. was going to say, can you tell this Jacksonville team is coached by a linebacker the way they go after the ball?
Green Bay recovered. It's second down.
It was a fumble, the third by Ahman Green in the game. He lost the other two.
Well, let's take a good. He takes a really hard hit. He still has the ball. That's not a fumble. Ahman Green looked like he still had control of that football as he was headed, and his elbow hit the ground and the ball came loose. That's down by contact. Doesn't matter. Green Bay kept possession.
2nd and 5. Favre, the quick toss, complete. Tight end Ben Steele wrestled down after a gain of 2 by Darrell Smith. Smith emerging as a solid outside backer, the rookie from Georgia Tech. Made a couple of big plays, fumble recovery, and a sack in the first half. 7 in a row completed by Favre now, and he looks at 3rd down and 2. Favre in the huddle. He saw the mass substitution sent in by Del Rio. Davenport and Lucci, the running tandem. Fake to Davenport. Long throw for the end zone. Driver. Touchdown. Donald Driver. His 8th of the year, and Green Bay reclaims the lead.
Well, a really simple pattern. Only one wide receiver. Donald Driver split out to the left. He's the only guy split away from the formation, and somehow Jacksonville allows him to get behind the safeties. You can see Deion Grant, the free safety, a good 5 yards in front of Donald Driver.
Now, even though Favre's pass was short, he was so far behind the secondary. Driver able to roll in for the touchdown. So 76 yards and 6 plays to open the second half, and Green Bay back in front. Try for point by Longwell. And he just skids it through. 3 minutes and 16 seconds into the second half. Green Bay 17, Jacksonville 14. Brett Favre comes out red hot here in the 3rd quarter. 76 yards and 6 quick plays. He's completed 4 out of 4 in that drive. He completed the last 4 of the first half. 8 in a row for Favre, and the kick comes down to Greg Jones, and Jones out to the 35 to 36 yard line. The Packers back in front 17-14, and Donald Driver, he knows how to leap. High jump 7 feet 6.5 inches in college. Green Bay back in front to the delight of this big crowd at Lambeau Stadium. Sold out again, 72,000 plus. From the 35, left witch to Taylor, and Taylor for only a couple, and Campman and Jackson on the defensive right side of that Packer line stuff.
You want to see a great call by Green Bay. Look at the heavy formation there. Look at the big heavy formation they're in over here. They're in the eye. It's 3rd and 2. Over here is Donald Driver all by himself, and Deion Grant right here. Watch him bite. Watch him bite on this play fake. And Donald Driver over the top, a brilliant call on 3rd and 2, all or nothing.
Left witch on 2nd and 9. Wide open downfield, complete to Smith again. And Smith, how he works his way open against Sharper this time, and a first down at the Green Bay 38. 2 touchdowns for Smith, and now a big gainer on that play, 26 yards.
Well, Jimmy Smith at 35 still demands respect from defenses. Again, this started with no pass rush whatsoever. It allows Jimmy Smith to run a pattern starting at the middle of the field and then breaking all the way over to the sideline against the Green Bay zone. Somebody from the Green Bay front 4 has got to put some pressure on Byron Leftwich.
That's the 16th catch of 25 yards or more by Smith this year. Among the league leaders. There's a throw to the sideline and incomplete, as Smith again was the target. Al Harris on single coverage.
Well, the quarterbacks have had better protection here in the second half, but in the first half, it has been a tough go. Byron Leftwich right there. He got hurt. He injured his left wrist. And again, hit from behind, the very controversial play. And Brett Favre has been taking his hits on the other side. Brett Favre injured his left wrist. You see how much pain he was in on the Green Bay sideline. Now, it's been a little better ride for these guys so far here early in the second half, but they both took a whooping in the first half.
Favre with more yardage with a couple of touchdowns, and here's Taylor streaking at the 20. They won't catch him. Touchdown, Jaguars. And Taylor is stuffed, and then twice he's ripped off big gains. Once through those linebackers, has the speed to outrun the secondary. 37 yards on the scoring run.
Well, Dick, props to the guys up front. I'm not sure that Fred Taylor was even touched by anybody on the Green Bay defense. Take a look at this thing coming right at you, right up the middle. Fred Taylor, a huge hole right there off the block of Brad Meester. Chris Naoli, the right guard, and not anybody from Green Bay laid a hand on Fred Taylor.
Josh Scobie adds the extra point, and Fred Taylor over 100 yards again today and over 1,000 on the season. Finally gets his being that scoring drive with his second rushing touchdown of the season. He's rushed for 1,000 yards 5 times in his 7 years in Jacksonville, holds 34 Jag records. And the kickoff comes down to Robert Ferguson. Packers behind at 21-17. Ferguson breaks a tackle and then gets a block on the edge. And then they have him out of bounds at the 30-yard line. Tommy Hendricks gets the tackle.
Let's go back and revisit that touchdown run by Fred Taylor. Just watch the blocking up front on this group. We're going to get a good block from Vince Monoway, the left guard, as he comes across on the trap. But again, I mentioned Meester. There's the Naoli, number 65, Mo Williams with the turnout. And what a lot of NFC cities are finding out when they get a visit from the Jacksonville Jaguars, Fred Taylor is a heck of a running back.
114 yards today. Out of the backfield is Amon Green, and he gets about 14 out to the 43-yard line.
You have to admit, Dick, Jacksonville, one of the smaller markets in the NFL, and Fred Taylor, one of the guys, I think, who flies below the radar when it comes to running backs.
Now, it's tough for him to make the Pro Bowl because so few get the headlines that he creates. And now Favre brings him out of the huddle, a first down with a streak of 9 consecutive completed passes in this weather. Green on the long handoff, and he's got himself in the open and caught from behind at the 30-yard line by Dwayne Washington. Green was in front of the pack.
Well, now it's the Packers' offensive line. It's their turn to respond and say, well, you want to bust the guy up the middle? We'll show you how we do it. And look at that hole that Amon Green exploits. Breaks one arm tackle, and if it wouldn't been for the fact that the speedy corner was within a couple yards of him, that would have been a Green Bay touchdown.
87 yards on 15 carries for Green, and now Favre throws underneath, incomplete, off the fingertips of William Henderson, his fullback.
It's almost like the Green Bay offensive line over there said, okay, enough publicity for these guys from Jacksonville. We'll show you what we've got.
So the string of completed passes ends at 9.
This offensive line for Green Bay, they're missing their center, Mike Flanagan, who was hurt early in the season. He's on IR. Scott Wells, the rookie, is in there playing center now. Gray Rugemer has been back. He was out for a game.
Give the Davenport in for Green, and he's met at the 28-yard line, but Big John Henderson. Well, it's that time of the year. Who's the NFL Coach of the Year, fans? There's a list of the top candidates. You can cast your vote at NFL.com.
You could make a valid argument for every guy on that list.
You sure could. Marty Schottenheimer's Chargers won again today to secure the AFC West. That's the biggest surprise of the group.
I can hardly get this out, Dick. Are they 11-3? Is that right?
That's right. 21-0 over Cleveland today. On third down, Favre from the shotgun. Throws underneath, complete to Walker again. What hands on this wide receiver. Smacked hard by Deion Grant. Hangs on, first down. Yeah, that was a powerful grab.
Mike Sherman telling us that Javon Walker all season long has been credited with only one dropped pass. Take a look at the focus he has there, knowing he's going to get popped by Deion Grant, and yet he holds on to it. And there are the best receiving duos this season, and Walker and Driver for the Packers in second place behind that talented duo in St. Louis.
We're over 2,000 after today. Swing it into the flat to Chapman. Antonio Chapman to the 15-yard line and a gain of 3.
I just go back, Dick, that catch by Walker. Cold. The ball was high. He knows he's going to get hit, and yet he stayed with it and brought it in. That was sweet.
Great size, 6'3" and 215. Played his college years at Florida State. He said that two-sport star, baseball as well, had to have the good hands there.
Didn't play in a lot of this weather in Tallahassee, did he?
No, not in the Florida Marlins baseball minor leagues. And no gain there for Davenport as John Henderson just wrapped him up around the waist and pulled him home. Henderson, along with Stroud, those two big tackles, Dan, they're going to get a lot of Pro Bowl votes, aren't they?
Well, Marcus Stroud went last year, and you can make a real case for John Henderson, number 98, that he should go this year as well. And you don't, we've done several Jaguars games, and you don't sit down with opposing coaches. It's the first thing they talk about, the duo of tackles, Henderson and Stroud.
Fisher in on 3rd and 7. 3 times in the red zone, and Green Bay no touchdowns. That's unusual. This is where Favre often shines. They pick up the blitz. He flips it into the flat. Good move by Walker. 1st and goal. When he caught the ball, it wasn't enough for a first down, but a beautiful move inside.
And kudos to Tony Fisher, the running back, for picking up the blitz. Javon Walker split wide to the right. Look how he comes underneath his driver, clears out the defense, but then it's just the move he puts on Rasheed Mathis, and Mathis doesn't even touch him. But credit Tony Fisher, the 3rd-year guy out of Notre Dame. He made a beautiful pickup on a blitz.
9 catches, 129 yards for Walker. Gives him 79 for the year. 1st and goal from the 3. Favre. In the end zone. What a turnabout as Rasheed Mathis. And where was Favre going with that pass? Right to Mathis. He can't believe it himself.
A designed rollout. This was moving the pocket for Brett Favre to buy him some extra time. But again, you're going to look at it from behind. What was he looking at?
Well, a remarkable turnabout, a rare Favre interception. They've also lost a fumble in the red zone 4 times inside the 20 with only a field goal to show for the effort for Green Bay. Mathis, his 3rd interception of the year. Here's Taylor. And a flag goes down. Nick Barnett made the tackle for Green Bay.
Holding offense number 83. 10-yard penalty from the previous spot.
Let's go back and look at Brett Favre. And again, it's hard to imagine. He's looking at Bubba Franks in the back of the end zone, trying to get the ball to him. But Rasheed Mathis, rather, is underneath the entire time. And it's not like he came streaking in from one side or the other. And for some reason, he was invisible to Brett Favre. Just anguished over just an unexplainable throw.
And that ends a streak of 169 passes at home without an interception. Penalty was on Todd Yoder, so from the 10 it's Leftwich, and he throws incomplete. Intended for Troy Edwards, and there's another flag. Ahmad Carroll was on the coverage, the rookie from Arkansas that they really like. He is Great speed, great leaping ability.
Well, they like everything but the penalties he gets.
Number 28. The ball is placed at the
And in
spinal foul.
fact,
First
this
down.
week, Mike Sherman had Carroll practice in boxing gloves to try to stop the holding.
He says he's in position, but he's too handsy. And right there you can see he's got his hands all over Edwards, and it's that hand fighting that he doesn't have to do. You can see that from a footwork standpoint, he was right alongside. He was in good position, but he just gets handsy, and it drives Mike Sherman wild.
Well, that bails Leftwich and Jacksonville out of a 1st and 20 at the 10-yard line. Underneath, this time to Reggie Williams. Williams close to a first down at the 34. We go to New York.
All right, Dick, Tennessee in Oakland against the Raiders, and Kerry Collins having himself a heck of a day. From 45 yards out, he finds Doug Gabriel, and Gabriel will do the rest for the touchdown that breaks a 21-all tie. Kerry Collins has 4 TD passes on the day. The Raiders lead at 28-21, guys.
All right, thanks, Greg. Two teams out of the playoffs, but mighty entertaining game out in the Bay Area. Taylor to the 38-yard line on first down. And a little flurry of activity after the whistle.
One thing about Fred Taylor that if you don't see him run very often is that you got to realize that of all the backs in football, he's in that upper echelon when it comes to a combination of speed, outright straightaway speed, quickness, but then really brute power. He's 235 pounds and at times plays even bigger than that.
And he gets to top speed in that second step,
Yes.
as you saw in that last play.
When Fred Taylor is healthy, which he has been the last couple of years, he's everything you want in a running back.
On 2nd and 6, Taylor, and he carries tacklers close to the yardsticks. Hannibal Navies, the linebacker, was on his back.
And take a look at that, Dick, how he gets better as time goes on.
Now that's his career numbers now, almost 100-yard average per game when he gets to the cold weather. Or colder weather, depending on whether he's playing at home in Jacksonville or places like this.
And you'd think by the end of the season that a running back would be feeling the wear and tear of a long season, that his legs would be tired, but no, that's never been the career history of Fred Taylor.
Look at that average today, 8.3 a carry and a touchdown. Measuring here, it's either first down or 3rd and inches. That much for a first down. Armin?
You know, you guys are talking about Fred Taylor. This is his 46th straight game of running back, a far cry from the nickname Fragile Fred, after he missed 24 games his first 4 seasons. Remember, guys, he told us yesterday, he goes, I was more of a baby then than I am now. He said, I've just been more responsible to my football team, and I've been a tougher player.
Yes, indeed. And it's the right name to have a big game at Lambeau, isn't it? Taylor?
Yeah.
Where Jimmy Taylor owned the Tundra in the 60s. Crowd on its feet. 3rd and short. Mark Edwards, the fullback. Taylor, a tailback. And Taylor dives to the 45, and depending on the mark, looks like he made it.
Yeah, I think they're going to give it to him.
Didn't need much, and it is a first down.
Ed Hockley feeling there's not even any need to bring out the chains. A good surge by the Jacksonville offensive line. That was no doubt that he picked up that first down. You saw all the white shirts moving forward. They did a nice job of rooting Green Bay's defensive line off the ball.
It's an underrated player at center, that Brad Meester.
Yes, sir.
Meester in his 5th year out of Northern Iowa. Many feel they play against him. He's a Pro Bowl candidate. Oh, the flip back. And wide open is Smith, and he can't pull it in on the diving try.
Oh, and does Byron Leftwich get hit? Oh, does he hold on to that ball to the last minute, and he gets pile drive. Fred Taylor is going to take it. He's going to nice job of faking it back to Leftwich, but only one guy breaks through. Is that Barnett? Yeah, it's Nick Barnett, and boy, does he put a hit on Byron Leftwich.
Barnett, who has halfback speed, sprinting in to smother Leftwich and perhaps deny another big gain. The Smith was wide open. And it's to Smith again, and Al Harris is in the right position. No, this time Ernest Wilford is the receiver, and Harris right there.
And that the crowd thinks maybe that should have been offensive interference on Ernest Wilford, who does a nice job of saving his quarterback, because Al Harris has the best position on the football of the two. Good hit by Harris. He's just running with him, but that is excellent work by Wilford going up over the top. That is not interference. He does not go through Al Harris. He elevates up over the top. Sensational play by the rookie.
Jacksonville 1 for 5 on third down. It's 3rd and 10. Into the flat, incomplete to Tofield. LeBrandon Tofield in for Taylor. And Joey Thomas there to make the hit. So the punt team on for Jacksonville, leading by 4 late in the third. And Antonio Chapman drifts back to return at the 15. Now the wind and the cold affecting the punting average. 28.3 for Hansen, who's averaging 43 on the season. What wind there is at his back. Yeah, it's the best kick of the day for Hansen to the 8-yard line. And Chapman returns to the 18. 1:36 left in the third. You can find out the whole story tonight. Mike Wallace with the interview and a big Sunday lineup on CBS. He's one of the brightest guys we've encountered in the NFL. He's a very thoughtful, cerebral guy. He's got obviously some difficulties coping with certain matters.
Yeah, I would say that. He actually he walked away with millions of dollars too. He $8.6 million that belonged to the Miami Dolphins and a signing bonus that they want back, and have been ruled by an arbitrator that he owes it to the Dolphins.
That'll be just part of the story.
Yes. A very compelling interview, though.
1 minute left in the third, and Favre under pressure throw, almost intercepted again. Just out of the reach of the linebacker, Tommy Hendricks. Well, just out of the reach of us is Greg Gumbel in New York.
Yeah, but I'm trying, Dick. Check in on the Titans and the Raiders. Kerry Collins continues to enjoy a day. His 5th touchdown pass of the day, the 3rd to Jerry Porter. That one 3 yards. Oakland extends its lead to 35-21 over the Titans, guys.
Thanks, Greg. And Oakland fans must be saying, where was that kind of Kerry Collins earlier in the year when we needed him?
And I don't think the season can end soon enough for Jeff Fisher.
Oh, what a tough year. All those injuries, my goodness. Again, under pressure, and Favre trying to ad-lib a pass to Javon Walker, and it's incomplete. Mike Peterson there on the coverage, and that was one of the less attractive series for Green Bay throughout this frigid day.
Well, that was an outstanding defensive series for Jacksonville. Brett Favre had nowhere to go with the football. Try as he might, he could not find an open receiver. Jacksonville shutting down everything.
Brian Barker to punt it to David Allen. Remember, Allen fumbled a punt in the first quarter. This one into the wind, but a good kick. Allen drifts to the 34. And returns to the 42-yard line. Tackled by Jason Horton. 43-yard punt, 8 on the return.
Be the one, because it's outside the AFC. It would be losing a non-conference game. Jacksonville could lose this, win their remaining 2, and still get in.
And they'll be favored in the last 2 games. Here's Taylor. And with just seconds remaining in the third, a gain of 1 or 2, Barnett and Carroll on the tackle. They'll be favored at home next week in their season finale at home against Houston, and and will be favored at Oakland to complete the year. So Jacksonville, their hopes are very much alive for the playoffs.
Well, you can't help but be impressed with the way they have come up here, where many teams have folded in the facing Green Bay late in the year in these kind of temperatures. You got to be very impressed with the way Jack Del Rio has prepared this team.
And that's the end of the third.
But baby, it's cold outside. I've got to go away. But baby, it's cold outside.
Nice music, but it doesn't make it any warmer.
It's cold.
It is cold, and it's cold in the booth because we are outside. Leftwich throws. Is that a catch? Scooping it is Smith, and it's ruled a completion at the 41 of Green Bay as we open the fourth quarter.
Boy, this has been fun watching Jimmy Smith and Al Harris, two really fine football players, go head to head. Al Harris draws the duty of the other team's toughest receiver. Impossible to defend. There is no way Al Harris could keep that from being completed with where Byron Leftwich threw that ball and Jimmy Smith went down and got it.
You see on the game stacks, 4 catches, 87 yards, and 2 touchdowns for Jimmy Smith, the 5-time Pro Bowler. Now it's back to Taylor. Taylor kicks out of 1 tackle and fights for a couple of yards before Darren Sharper can drive him to the turf. Corey Williams had him, but he got away. 9 degrees, -2 wind chill, and we are blessed that the winds are only 10 miles an hour. If they were the winds that we saw yesterday, that chill factor would be in the 20s below 0.
And the crowd at Lambeau is doing the wave, unfazed by the weather.
I want the schnapps concession, though.
Just another nice day in Green Bay.
2nd down and 8. Leftwich downfield, incomplete. Intended for Brian Jones, the tight end. Lambeau Field, we're in the first level, and we wish this glass could close, but it can't.
Yeah. Hey, Dick, we could close it. Now, wait a minute. This glass closes. We've got it open because that's the way to call a football game.
Heck with that macho stuff.
That's the way to call a football game. We're out there just like everybody else.
That's right. You're right, Dan Dierdorf. Just like the Hall of Famers.
When this game is over, you're going to be glad I made you do this.
Oh, yeah. On 3rd down. It's a shovel pass to Taylor, and Taylor is down to the 25, and another Jacksonville first down. 21-17, the Jaguars lead here early in the 4th.
And again, this is good blocking up front with an outstanding play call. Green Bay in man coverage. That's why nobody from the secondary is coming up to help out with Fred Taylor. They're being run off the line of scrimmage. A very good play call by Bill Musgrave, the offensive coordinator, and it caught Green Bay back on their heels.
Through my frosty fog, I thought it was a shovel pass, but it was a draw. First down, right back to Taylor. Big hole, 15, and what a move he makes. He's to the 4-yard line. Sharper saved a touchdown. A big running day for Taylor. And that's been a problem for Green Bay. 4 running backs have rushed for over 140 this year. The Bears, Thomas, Jones ran for 152. Then in week 4, the Giants' Tiki Barber, 182 yards. A week later, Chris Brown of the Titans rushed for 148. And finally last week, rookie Kevin Jones of the Lions, 156. And look at Taylor, 165 on only 20 rushes.
Well, that's over 8 yards a carry.
1st and goal. This is a big defensive challenge, and Leftwich throws underneath, and tackled on the 1-yard line is Kyle Brady, the veteran tight end. He did not get in.
No, he was close.
Hannibal Navy is able to make the tackle, and ball spotted just inside the 1.
But again, after the successful runs by Taylor, they try to catch Green Bay with some play action. Again, you can't help but be impressed the way this ball club, and there's Bill Musgrave, but the way this ball club from Jacksonville is handling these elements.
Almost as if they switched uniforms. The give inside to Greg Jones, the big pullback, and he is stuffed just outside that goal line. Jones, they call him the tank at 250. Cousin of Joe Frazier, Jerome Bettis type, and good to see the bus in our studio before the action today.
I don't know. You can't mention Jerome Bettis, and I think we're no different than anybody else that covers this game. You just smile. Such a good man.
Big play for both teams. Jacksonville trying to take a 11-point lead. Green Bay trying to stop them right here. And they're leaning forward, and it's not enough. Fred Taylor couldn't get over the pile.
What a stop that was by the Green Bay defensive line and linebackers. That was just a monstrous stop. And Fred Taylor, I don't think he even got close to getting across the end zone.
Yeah, pretty
the
close.
hat got across, but the ball was back in his midsection, Dick.
It's right on the goal line, tickling that final stripe, and Jack Del Rio's going for it.
Wow.
Field goal would give him a 7-point lead. Jones and Edwards in the backfield. And he's in the end zone. Greg Jones with his second touchdown of the season. Del Rio gambles and wins.
Pretty apparent Jack Del Rio came here to win. What a gutsy call on his part. A field goal gives you that comfortable one-touchdown lead. That is not playing conservative football. That is playing like a guy who's made a promise to his team. You know what? I'll make a play for you guys because you're making a play for me.
And who does he give the ball to on 4th and goal? A rookie, Greg Jones. Here's the extra point try by another rookie, Scobie. And look at that scoreboard. Jacksonville 28, Green Bay 17. And Coach Jacksonville 58 yards, 10 plays, and on 4th down, the touchdown by Greg Jones. And that's the most points the Jaguars have scored all year, 28. They had 27 in their win at Indianapolis in midseason. They haven't scored 30 in 3 years, the longest drought in that regard in the NFL. Down to Robert Ferguson, and he heads up the middle. Then on to the outside, 35, and finally out of bounds just shy of the 40. And Scobie, the kicker, was able to shoulder him off the field of play. Down now by 11 as far. I wonder if there are any gifts under that tree. First down, Green Bay at the 40. Favre goes to work. Intercepted again, and it's Mathis once more. The same young cornerback that picked off Favre in the end zone to deny the Packers. Perfect position again for his second interception of the game, 4 on the year. Oh my, that is not Favre's plan to start a comeback.
No, it's not. You can see it's play action, the fake to Ahman Green. No pressure at all on Brett Favre. Again, the ball just floats, hangs up, and comes well short of Javon Walker. Relatively easy for Rashean Mathis to move in front and pick it off.
A reminder tonight starts right after our football. Ricky Williams, NFL's richest young superstar, walks away from it all. He'll tell all on 60 Minutes. Then catch a new episode of Cold Case, followed by Gary Sinise, Jolie Richardson, and the Hallmark Hall of Fame's Fallen Angel. Actually, a double dose of Cold Case on
that ball come loose?
CBS. And a fumble. And Green Bay says
Ed Hockley is going to say he was down. He's going to say Fred Taylor was down. He pointed to the ground.
And Campman came up with the ball. Aaron Campman, as Taylor gets a breather, and LeBrandon Tofield is in, the second-year runner from LSU.
The other officials were looking around. Ed Hockley from behind came in and was very decisive in saying Fred Taylor was down.
Corey Williams, a rookie from Arkansas State, with a hit.
And here comes the
red flag.
Well, the problem is if Ed Hockley rules him down, you can't challenge it. There's nothing to challenge.
That's what Jack Del Rio's saying.
Mike Sherman threw out a red flag, but you can't challenge it if the official rules him down. Everything ends right there.
And Hockley, one of the game's very best, will explain.
Let's look at it one more time and let's really
The play
focus.
cannot be challenged. Second down.
And that was a diplomatic way to announce it to the Green Bay crowd that they're picking up the challenge.
It's just impossible to see from those angles where the football is. But Ed Hockley was behind, and he obviously felt he had a very good look at it because he came right in and quickly ruled it down.
Well, that could have been a big turnaround emotionally for Green Bay. Draw, and it's Greg Jones, and he powers out to the 48-yard line, a pickup of about 6. Colin Cole, backup defensive tackle from Iowa, makes the play.
Dick, I hate to repeat myself, but I'm back again to what Mike Sherman told us about this Jacksonville team in preparing for them. How well they run the football and how well they defend the run.
185 yards rushing, Dan, and they've been tough with those two big guys inside, Henderson and Stroud, against the run.
They play in beautiful weather in Florida, but they're a team built to compete and play well in bad weather, as they're demonstrating today.
Third down, give it to Jones, and the big man to the 45, and that's something Del Rio told us in our visit with him. The big guy like Jones, a big guy like Williams, rookies help us in cold weather. Let's go to Greg in New York.
All right, Dick, good old-fashioned shootout in Oakland. Kerry Collins has thrown 5 touchdown passes. This is Billy Volek's 4th, a 3-yarder to Derek Mason. It's 35-28, the Raiders leading the Tennessee Titans. Plenty of time to play in the 4th, Dick and Dan.
It looks like one of those who will have the ball last as we look at Favre's numbers. Greg, 1 lost fumble and 2 interceptions after he'd gone a big long string at home without throwing a pick. First down at the 45 of Green Bay, and it's Jones again. And back to that point, Dan, the fact that Del Rio, and you've underlined it so well, building a team that is really a tough physical and a mean-minded, if you will, and I say that in a complimentary way. And these young guys, and some of the fans criticize Reggie Williams. He hasn't had a big year as a rookie wide receiver, and Jones hasn't contributed much. But he said, this is where those two kids, they symbolize what I want, big guys at the end of the year.
Should it be a surprise? Jack Del Rio was a mean, nasty player when he played. And this team is an embodiment of their head coach.
Chewing up the time, 6.5 left. Staying on the ground with a rookie. And they catch him this time as Mark Roman, the safety, came up and caught him in the backfield. All right, let's take a look at these two teams, and only 2 games remaining, and the others fighting for a wild card. The Jets won today. They're in great position. Baltimore's got a couple of tough ones, Indianapolis and Pittsburgh ahead. Denver at Tennessee and Indianapolis. They'd be favored to, well, Indianapolis at home. It'll depend whether or not Indy will need to win that game. Jacksonville.
Yeah, 2 of those jump out. Pittsburgh finishing up at Buffalo, the Jets finishing up at St. Louis.
You could have a 15-1 team and not get home field all the way through.
Can you imagine that? It's likely to happen.
So third down for Leftwich. Incomplete. He had Smith and Edwards both in the area. Edwards short and Smith long. And that stops the clock at 5:41, and the clock is becoming the enemy of the Green Bay Packers. They needed that.
Well, with the 11-point lead, it's a touchdown, a 2-point conversion, and a field goal from tying, or 2 touchdowns from taking the lead. Any way you look at it, Green Bay's got to do a lot of business in the last 5:41.
Well, they've got a quarterback who knows the way, although he's had a rough second half. The kick by Hansen. Dying and stopped on the 1. Did he step on the goal line? If he didn't, what a play! Oh my, Deke Cooper, the defensive back from Notre Dame, doing a toe dance on the goal line and stays in the field of play, downs the ball at the 1. We're back in Green Bay. A reminder right after our NFL action. Stay tuned for 60 Minutes, you football fans. The fascinating story of Ricky Williams. Mike Wallace with the interview, as well as all of our Sunday night programming. That to follow as Green Bay starts on its own 1-yard line. And the give straight ahead goes to Amon Green out to the 5. And the clock runs with it. Now the timeout situation. Each team has 3.
Green Bay can't afford to huddle up.
And Green shaken up a bit, leaves with his 95 yards in the game. And late getting on the field is Najee Davenport. Just now entering the huddle, and all the while the clock ticking.
Yeah, a lot of time.
No,
to
they
Green
stopped
Bay.
it now at 5:05. Now it runs again.
A lot of time here. The Green Bay couldn't afford to lose.
Clock stopped for no reason there for about 10 seconds. In his own end zone, and then he throws to the sideline to Nick Lucci, and Lucci's second pass reception of the year. Here's the NFC playoff picture with Philadelphia and Atlanta in. Green Bay made it today due to other losses. Seattle at 7-7. And Minnesota sitting there at 8-6 with a victory today in Detroit, and they play next week. Rams are losing 31-7. So the Rams are about to take themselves out of the playoff picture. First down on the Lucci catch, and he stopped the clock. Now deep down the middle and caught. And what a catch by Ferguson, and he hangs on.
That's going to be a personal foul on Donovan Darius as he throws a forearm right to the neck and head of Robert Ferguson.
And Ferguson not up. He injured on the play.
Oh, look at Robert Ferguson. That was a vicious shot from Donovan Darius.
Fans
watching number 20 here at the bottom. And that's headhunting. That's old-fashioned headhunting.
Boy, in your day, you saw a lot of that.
That's the old-fashioned clothesline. For those of you that haven't seen it in the NFL for 20 years, that's what it looked like. You just took your forearm and raked it right across the throat and the face of another player. I'm sure Donovan Darius is going to say, I meant to hit him on the shoulder pads. And again, you can't talk about someone's intent. They're going full speed and playing very fast, but you can talk about the result. And the result is that's a clothesline, and that will draw the foul, and that's a way to get a guy hurt pretty badly.
He took the helmet right off his head. This will give you there you get the full sense of the force of the blow.
That'll draw a fine from the NFL, and more importantly right now you hope that Ferguson's okay.
Here's an interesting move by Del Rio. He got all his players over with him on the sideline.
After the completion, personal foul, unnecessary roughness defense, number 20. That 15-yard penalty is enforced from the end of the run. First down.
They're bringing out a gurney, and the fans, understandably, are upset.
Yeah, that's a type of hit that'll never be received well by the home crowd.
Right now we
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Capital One. What's in your wallet? And by the new Singular, raising the bar.
Back in Green Bay, where fans stand concerned, the condition of Robert Henderson on that vicious tackle by Donovan Darius, and Darius has been ejected from the game. Mike Sherman, the head coach of the Packers.
Well, he's just livid because he's thinking about his player Robert Ferguson, and there's Donovan Darius, Marcus Stroud, number 99, expressing his displeasure in a move that not only injured a player from another team, but gives the opponent another 15 yards and
lights a fire
and lights a fire and takes one of Jacksonville's best players out of the rest of this game as Darius has been kicked out.
The ball.
But right now, all of that is back burner material until we find out about Robert Ferguson.
And they take, as they do in these cases where a player apparently rendered unconscious, every precaution.
Well, I can see him moving his arm there. It looked like
good. Yeah, that is a great sign. First fear, of course, in all of these injuries is that there might be some spinal cord injury, and but they will strap him on the board and lift him carefully and get him off to medical attention. Yeah, well, we have a break. Let's go to New York.
All right, Dick, thank you. The Saints and the Buccaneers, too.
Oh, you talk about a schizophrenic team, the New Orleans Saints. And they're still with a possible playoff chance. And as we watch as Robert Ferguson is helped onto the stretcher, 60 minutes will follow, except on the West Coast, seen at its regular time. Fans who have tuned in for 60 minutes. Cold, cold, cold Green Bay. Temperature down in single digits and chill under 0. Fans are very angry, as you can hear in the background, and Donovan Darius are going to get him off the field.
When you're ejected, you have to leave the bench area. You have to go into the locker room.
That's probably where he should be.
And I'll tell you what, at least nobody threw anything or anything like that. This is what caused it. From the left to your screen, Donovan Darius is going to come in with his left forearm right into the throat and the face of Robert Ferguson, peeling his helmet right off in the process. And you know, you can say you hope he didn't intend it, but it looked awfully deliberate, winding up with the left arm.
And a thumbs up from Ferguson as he leaves the field.
Yeah, look at that. Well, let's hope that that's really a medical barometer of how he actually is doing.
So Donovan Darius ejected. D. Cooper replaces him. With the penalty, Green Bay moves it to the 41 of Jacksonville. So a 31-yard gain plus the 15-yard penalty. And this crowd will be fiery in its support of the Packers to make the comeback now. Added intent being the victory would provide some salve for that vicious hit. And never mind the retribution for it.
Number 20 has been ejected from the game for throwing on at the player. Push down.
No doubt about the popularity of that announcement.
And it looks like Deke Cooper, who made that play downing the punt down at the 1-yard line, has replaced Darius at the strong safety.
Third-year safety out of Notre Dame. And the whistle. And another flag. Mike Sherman is
before the snap, false start, offensive right tackle, 5-yard penalty. It's still first down.
And we go to New York.
All right, Dick. Arizona's Josh McCown threw 2 touchdown passes to Larry Fitzgerald today in the Cardinals' 31-7 win over St. Louis. The Rams blow a chance to take the lead over Seattle in the very average NFC West, guys.
Oh, baby, I'm going back to St. Louis. Things are going to be ugly there.
After the penalty, Favre fires, complete to Driver, tackled at the 32-yard line.
Oh, and then Donald Driver almost kicks Greg Favors as he's down on the ground. And that, if an official would have seen that, that might have drawn another penalty. Watch Donald Driver at the end of this play. Yeah, he goes through. He elevated his feet there and tried to kick Favors.
311 yards now for Favre, who screens it to Fisher. Fisher stumbles and then brought down at the 22-yard line. And the clock continues to tick toward the 4-minute mark. Aiken Adell with a tackle. Packers have 3 timeouts. They trail 28-17 here on their favored field of Lambeau.
And you'd have to be from Mars not to think that Brett Favre doesn't have a chance to win this game.
It's Favre again down the middle. Who's got it?
Grant took it away.
Oh my!
Deion Grant took it away.
It was in a crowd, and Donald Driver, the receiver intended, looked as if he was in a perfect spot, but Deion Grant just wrestled it away, and it's the 3rd pick of Brett Favre in this second half. He looks in disbelief.
Inside receiver is Driver, number 80. Now watch this. Deion Grant takes the ball out of his hands. Now the only question is, did Deion Grant have possession of the ball? Was it bobbled at all? This ought to tell us. This ought to tell us.
No, he's got it.
Oh, he's got it.
Unsportsmanlike conduct by the defense, Jacksonville. That penalty will be enforced on the kickoff. Green Bay has also challenged the ruling on the field.
On the kickoff, if it was intercepted.
There'll be no kickoff. I don't know what the ball would be. Jacksonville's at the 20-yard line on a touchback.
It would be imposed at the 10.
It looks initially like it's a touchdown. Now what Green Bay is hoping for, that Donald Driver had the ball long enough to be ruled a touchdown.
But he didn't.
No, I don't. That's their only hope
There's
here.
1 foot, and he's already lost it. You know.
No, their only hope would be that if somehow the officials would look at that and say Donald Driver possessed the ball long enough to be ruled a Green Bay touchdown, but no way. Well, this has been a game where we have seen some strange possessions of the football. Darren Sharper knocking it away from Vince Monoway and running in for a touchdown in the first half, and now that play by Deion Grant.
That's his first interception of the season. The former Carolina star went to the Super Bowl with his team a year ago as a surprise NFL club, and it's one of those that you figure when you saw it with the naked eye, the Driver had a touchdown, and just like that, it's Grant picking his pocket and denying Green Bay a score that would have given them, with 3:40 left, plenty of time to maybe rally against this hardy Jacksonville club.
Well, the only thing that could work out here, I think, for Green Bay would be if somehow they ruled that Deion Grant did not have possession of the football when he hit the ground in the back of the end zone. But keep in mind, on the field, it was ruled an interception. And so Ed Hockley is going to have to see something to overturn that, and I don't see it. I think this is going to stand. Let's take a look at it. Regular speed. Look how quickly this happened.
Fans were cheering. They thought it was a touchdown.
And even though it happened really close to the end line at the back of the end zone, by the replays we saw, it looked like Deion Grant came down and landed clearly on the field of play, did it not?
It did to me.
Here, let's look at it one more time, and let's look at the white line at the back of the end zone as Deion Grant takes the ball away from Driver. Let's see where he makes contact with the turf. Yeah, he's in the field of play by a good yard.
They marked off the penalty back to the 10-yard line. And this cold weather has brought out some crazy plays. And Favre, after 169 straight passes without an interception here at home, has thrown 3 picks in the second half.
Although the last one he didn't deserve to have it be intercepted.
The Green Bay receiver never had possession of the ball with 2 feet down in the end zone. The Jacksonville player caught the pass, never lost possession of the ball. It was a touchback. There is a taunting foul, an unsportsmanlike foul that's penalized on the touchback. Jacksonville ball from the 10-yard line.
The only thing from Ed Hockley's original call was he said we'll penalize them on the kickoff.
Right.
He meant to say on the touchback.
Well, this game unusually long, the cold weather, penalties, unusual plays, and so those of you who've tuned in for the Sunday night programming, we're working in that direction. 60 Minutes, Ricky Williams interview, a feature tonight, Cold Case. two cold cases, one here at Lambeau and one tonight after 60 minutes, and then Fallen Angel, the Hallmark Hall of Fame special tonight.
And we're being told that Robert Ferguson is being taken to a Green Bay hospital for further evaluation on an injury to his head and neck. So if we get anything before we go off the air, we'll tell you.
Green Bay going for the ball as Greg Jones heads straight ahead to the 12-yard line.
Well, Brett Favre, it has been an up and down all around day. A beautiful touchdown pass there to Donald Driver, and it just vintage Brett Favre. But then just that inexplicable throw to Rasheed Mathis, it just, it has Brett driving himself wild. And then he did it again to Mathis, severely underthrowing Javon Walker. This one goes into the books as a pick, but in reality, it was one fine throw from Brett Favre that just didn't work out.
And when you look at this game from Jacksonville's point of view, 29 degrees or colder, they're 0-5. They've never played here, and it's 8 degrees right now. Favre is 32-0 in regular season games where it's 34 degrees or colder, and only one playoff loss a couple of years ago to Atlanta. 38-1 overall. So Jackson, you can't underline how big Jacksonville has played in this game today and tonight. Greg Jones, so Jack Del Rio stays with his rookie runner despite the pressure that is placed on him to hang on to the ball in this cold weather. Another timeout used by Green Bay, and that will be their final timeout. "34 degrees or colder," and here is the only time that Favre has lost a game here at Lambeau. That was 27-7 to Atlanta in January 2003. That was after 13 straight playoff wins in Green Bay.
No, it's one of those things that you can count on. It's football's version of Money in the Bank. Green Bay playing so well at home in the cold, but Jack Del Rio said something very prophetic to his football team. Brett Favre 38-1 when it's below 35 degrees, and Jack Del Rio told his team those were 39 other versions of the Green Bay Packers. We're playing the 40th version tomorrow. We're not playing any of those teams in the past. We're going to play the one they run out on the field tomorrow.
Well, his speech seemingly has worked to this point. 3.5 to go. Third down, and Jones again, and he's stuffed. And that'll bring up fourth down, and Jacksonville will let the clock run under 3 minutes before they punt it. Corey Williams, a rookie from Arkansas State, made the tackle, and out will come Chris Hansen and the punting team.
Well, this crowd at Lambeau has seen it too many times before. They're all still here.
Oh, yes.
They're all still here.
It's a touchdown to an onside kick and another score that faces Favre and the Packers. And they might be going after the punter on this one. And what a kick. Hansen against the win all the way to the 30-yard line. Antonio Chapman stumbles at the 50, fumbles, it goes out of bounds, and a flag is down.
Actually, two different flags, I think, on two different fouls. Two flags thrown by a couple of officials who are 30 yards away from each other.
And usually on a return, it's block in the back.
During the return, illegal block in the back by the receiving team, number 48. It's a 10-yard penalty. Green Bay keeps the ball, first down.
Vontae Leach guilty of the foul. And so here's the situation. 2:32, 60 minutes to follow the game. 2:32 left here. No timeouts remain for the Packers. They trail Jacksonville 28-17. This could well be the longest game of the year, and they picked the coldest of the year. Great timing.
Try to contain your enthusiasm, Dick.
All right, let's see what Favre has in store. There's the first. Oh, in and out of the hands of Antonio Chapman. The ball was laid right there, but in this cold weather, one can forgive anyone for not being able to pull it in.
Well, Chapman is wide open, working in the middle of this Jacksonville zone, and he just starts to look upfield. He has the ball and just fails to put it away.
That beautiful replay of the ball thrown by Favre. You see why he has such a great arm. That ball, a tight spiral, can cut through the wind. And he's caught from behind, gets away. And now somebody might be open, complete. Usually you break out of that and someone's wide open. John Henderson had him for a moment, and then the pass was skipped short.
It almost looked like Henderson intentionally let him go. I don't know if he thought the whistle was going to blow. Yes, shake your head, Big John. I mean, he has Brett Favre. Favre has nowhere to go. Look at this right here. He's got him wrapped up, and then he just stops. He just drops to his knees. I think he was acting like he was waiting for the whistle that never came.
Look who was there to put the hit on him, Marcus Stroud, the other big tackle. Fired complete, and there's Javon Walker, and what a day he has had. And they have to hurry up now as it moves toward the 2-minute timeout. 10 catches for Javon Walker and 142 yards. And they're not able to get a play off. There is a 2-minute timeout in Green Bay. Jaguars leading toward in the driver's seat, but Jacksonville has beaten both Denver and Buffalo, and should they win tonight, Jacksonville's hopes really rise. Favre down the middle to Driver, complete inside the 40, and the Packers will hurry up. They have no timeouts. They had to use those to try to stop Jacksonville on the Jaguars series after the pass interception in the end zone. Down the middle again, incomplete, and almost deflected back to a Jacksonville defender. Chapman was the receiver, and Deke Cooper playing for Darius, who was ejected from the game on the hit on Ferguson, was the closest defender.
And Chapman really trying to fill the spot of Ferguson. And yes, Vince Lombardi will never be forgotten here in Green Bay, and that might epitomize what a lot of people around here think of St. Vincent.
And what they need now, a prayer.
Yeah.
Favre on second down. And there's a false start on the left side of the line. Chad Clifton.
Whoa. Oh, Brad. I mean, Brett was just throwing the ball back up to the line of scrimmage, inadvertently hit the umpire with the ball. Steve Wilson threw the flag. Now, that's an accident. Now, he's just flipping the ball back up to the...
There was no foul for throwing the ball at the official.
Yeah, that's...
The official had his
you can
hands
see
up
his
to touch
reaction.
the ball.
Yeah, that's...
The on the play was a false start. Offense, the left guard.
Yeah.
The 5-yard penalty. It's still second down.
Kudos to Ed Hockley, the referee, for coming in and demanding that flag be picked back up. That's what a quarterback has got to do. He's got to flip the ball back up to the umpire to re-spot it after a false start.
Look at the first half numbers, 152 yards, no interceptions. Second half, the one touchdown that opened the second half, and then 3 picks by the Jaguars. In the penalty yardage, over 100 yards for Green Bay. That's got to be an alarming aspect for Coach Mike Sherman. Down the middle. Incomplete. And they say incidental contact. Now a late flag comes in from the official on the far side. Driver and Grant bumping.
That's about as late as a flag can get.
The length of the game certainly due in part to this.
Interference defense cut off. The ball is placed at the spot of the foul. First down.
Cut off. Grant, you can see he blocks the path of Driver.
Deion Grant has to spin back around. To his credit, he was looking up at the football, trying to figure out where it was. It only takes one of the officials to make the call.
It's the 6th time in the red zone for the Packers, and they've had trouble earlier. This one to Walker, who has had a sensational game.
Well, Dick, you talk about trouble. 5 different times they were at the 22 or closer. Out of those 5 trips, they've got 1 field goal and 0 touchdowns.
And this is one of the best teams in the red zone in the league. Favre to the end zone. Touchdown! Antonio Chapman, his first NFL score is tonight. 7 yards on the throw.
They're going to go for 2 to try to get where a field goal would tie it. This is the only option here for them to go for 2. What a laser from Brett Favre. Chapman, who had dropped one earlier, had no choice but to catch that one. That ball might have stuck in his stomach, even if he wouldn't have got a hand on it.
Green Bay still needs a lot of good things to happen. They need 2 here, then they need a successful onside kick, and then another score. All right for the 2-point conversion. And they get the 2 to Driver. They're within a field goal.
That's why every single person is still here at Lambeau Field. They have been there, done that, watching a Brett Favre comeback.
Well, now it comes down to the onside kick and the pressure on Ryan Longwell and his teammates.
And again, Brett Favre sometimes throws a football that you just have to catch. But Donald Driver and Javon Walker in particular have been just outstanding today in catching the football in what we cannot, again, overstate are miserable conditions to handle the football. That football must feel like a concrete block when you're catching it.
They're 0 for 1 on onside kicks this year. No timeout. So if they don't successfully cover this kick, then it'll be a couple of kneel downs for Byron Leftwich of Jacksonville, and Jack Del Rio will take his team back to Florida with a huge win.
Well, Jack Del Rio is now going to send out his frozen hands team because there are no warm hands in this stadium anywhere.
Well, these fans have learned through the years that you just don't count Favre and the Packers out. They may be on a knee on a 9 count, but somehow he's been able to do it time and time again. 33 comeback wins. This one would be close to a miracle finish should they recover this onside kick and get at least a field goal. 1:08 left. Which way will he go? He could go left or right. And it's Jimmy Smith. He didn't hang on to it. Green Bay may have it. The crowd will tell you. You'll hear a huge roar if Green Bay came up with it.
Well, the ball came to Jimmy Smith. Nobody was even close to him. I can't even tell you what's going on down below that pile right now, folks. Unless you've never been there before, it's impossible to comprehend.
Yes, Smith was alone and fell on the ball, it appeared. And then the rush of Packers swarmed over him. Smith didn't come up with the ball, but he says one of his teammates did. They did, and for Jacksonville, that all but sews it up. Nick Sorensen, I believe, was down the bottom of the pile and scraped it away.
Well, Longwell's kick comes right to Jimmy Smith. You can see there's, and the ball almost, he got kicked by one of his teammates, and then you're right, you can see Sorensen had it.
And you better be strong and tough underneath there, because you know one pulling your arms from one side and another trying to dig it out from the other.
Good hustle play by Nick Sorensen and getting in there and covering up that loose ball.
And we may have seen on this cold, frigid day a young team developing into a real force in the NFL, the Jacksonville Jaguars of Jack Del Rio.
And this impressive year of the AFC and their domination of the senior conference of the NFC continues with this win today by the Jacksonville Jaguars.
This is Mike Sherman on his 50th birthday. It's going to be tough to swallow the cake tonight. And he and the Minnesota Vikings, the Packers and Vikings now will be tied for first in the NFC North, and they play in Minneapolis next Sunday. And how big a game is that one?
Oh, actually, it's on Friday, isn't it? I believe it's
early.
That game is Christmas. I believe Christmas Eve.
And we'll be off to Kansas City for the return of that rivalry, the Raiders and the Chiefs, on Christmas Day. And we welcome those of you who have been watching the Titans and the Raiders. We're in the final seconds, final play, a final kneel down, and a big upset win here for the Jacksonville Jaguars. We're about to beat Green Bay 28-25 in a game in frozen conditions, temperature chill factor under 0, and Jack Del Rio's team from Jacksonville leaves with a huge win and very much a part of the wild card playoff picture.
Good boy.
The Packers are going to lament their problems in the red zone, Dick.
And 3 interceptions in the second half of Favre. And stay tuned for CBS Tonight, 60 Minutes. And there's the entire lineup. Ricky Williams, the feature story tonight on 60 Minutes. The final score again, 28-23. For Dan Dierdorf and Armin Katayan, this is Dick Enbert. So long from frozen Lambeau Field. You've been watching the NFL on CBS.